Hello, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the NLC. The Div 2 takeover is still in effect, and it's time for Div 2 playoffs. I am Brackish Brett. I am joined by Vuxel and Zathos to bring you the first match of playoffs, Venomcrest versus Karolinerna. Boys, how are we feeling?
Pretty excited, to be honest. Can't wait to cast my first ever playoffs, and of course, Vuxel next to me. I'm super excited to be cast with you again.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm absolutely hyped. Like, you got two teams. One of them is the streak team. That streak,
We'll get to them.
and the other one is also a pretty intriguing team. I like K5 and I like what they bring. And I think the winner just straight up heads into the semifinals of the upper bracket. So it's gonna be a pretty good time if you win. Just you skip around already, just based on that.
Much easier road to take for sure. I was going to say, we already started talking about Karolinerna. I'm sure that, Zath, you've got plenty. I know you said earlier that you'd been spending most of your afternoon in the candy shop for you, that is the stats block.
Oh, I absolutely love my stats. So for everybody at home, sit down, grab something to drink as I tell you about the infamous K5. So they haven't been doing too well recently, had an amazing start to the split, but have lost 3 out of their last 5. However, I got to tell you about that AD carry, the person who I think really carries this team, because the thing about K5 is they play for this bot side, and with the meta coming around to be a lot more AD carry focused, especially with the ADC buffs onto Caitlyn, could be really good for them. And the reason I talk about the AD carry so much is, did you know he was the first ranked player in EU West, the top player for 2v2 Arena, just showing how well his mechanics are. So we're going to have to see if K5 can play around him, play around their bot side, to really be able to pick up a few wins here.
Let's not also forget, though, that they are up against a very formidable bot lane on the Venomcrest side in Kennel and Touch, an incredibly tenured player. We've seen him throughout the various stages of NLC over the years. I personally remember casting him back when he was on Verdant. But, Voxel, I think there's not really much we need to say about Venomcrest, is there?
I mean, like, yeah, you can just sum it up in like a single sentence: 18-0. You can stop there. Pretty impressive. I think the only team in any ERL Div 2 to actually go undefeated throughout the entirety of the split. And from what I remember, this is the biggest streak in the ERLs as a whole. So,
Yep.
that's pretty impressive in of itself. And honestly, just as you said, like, the bot lane is pretty tenured, but it's the other side of the map that does a lot of the work, especially Wolski, who I feel like the Venomcrest team has that very special sauce of actually being able to flex their kind of players, where Owonski can sometimes pick tank, can play carries, and he's excellent on the carries. And it's the same for almost everyone in that team. So they're like chameleons. But hey, that might be problematic against a team that is well themed and have an idea of what they want to do.
All right. Well, good to know. Obviously, we'll be onto the Rift in just a second. I do want to have a quick look, possibly, if production, we could have a look at the bracket, just so that everybody at home can have a little glance at that while we chat. So here we are at the first match, Venomcrest versus Karolinerna. But we've got plenty more action to come as we progress through playoffs tomorrow. Lundqvist Lightside versus MRG, same time, same place. And then after that on Sunday, Lions Creed take on the loser of this match, yet to be decided, of course. And then it's not until next Thursday that Blue Whites will face the loser of Lightside versus MRG.
Going to be very hectic games, to say the least, all the way through. So just to give you a little bit of context about where the teams are going to become, because they all have, spring and summer split. Of course, we're in the summer split now, but with the spring split and how it went, Venomcrest have a 64% chance to get through to, Division 1 by getting into the top 2, while the side of Lightside are absolutely dominating in the spring split, meaning they are a 96% chance to get through. They literally have to come 6th place. If they don't get that, Lightside should get through, while the side of K5, one of the teams we're casting today, only has a 14% chance. They really have to win this all to have any chance of trying to get through to Division 1.
Well, we'll find out if that comes to pass. I've been told to hand it across to the two of you so that we can get on to draft for game number 1. Take it away, lads.
Well, here are those, and game 1 is about to kick off. So just before it does, we've been setting this stage, talking about the thematics of the team as a whole and how people can carry. Well, what champions do you expect the two teams to just target, both in bans and in picks right now?
Well, remember, this is a new patch for everybody, so it is going to be 13.15. Quite a few buffs have come out. One of the major ones is going to be Caitlyn and then Kai'Sa nerfs. I mean, the AD champ pools are going to be a little bit more hectic. So I would still love to see a Caitlyn maybe coming out from one of these teams. But most importantly, I think we are going to be sticking with the Jace in the mid lane, being a very strong answer to a lot of these carries in the mid lane, or even Silent like. I would say Renekton in the top lane is also super powerful, and same with the Tristana. So not too many changes, just expect maybe a little bit of Caitlyn, and on top of that, Modliska in this mid lane, the Venomcrest mid laner, actually does like to play Talia. Talia did get a few buffs as well, so except for that, not that many changes.
Yeah, well, I mean, then we can talk about the other lanes a little bit. I feel like one of the things that will impact the bot lane as well is the support changes, and not the champions themselves, is actually the Glacial. Because Glacial have got a big nerf, especially if you're a tank support that don't get a lot of stats.
Yeah, completely. So I'm expecting everybody to not be going the Glacial Augment anymore and be going for that Aftershock, meaning they are going to be tankier, but it's going to be harder to find those big engages. And when you finally do, it's harder to really hold on to the team or the enemy to find the kills. So what actually happened to Glacial Augment is the ice slow whenever you hit someone went from 30% to just dealing a whole lot less damage, not being able to slow them as much, and then the heal and shield power has been affected quite a lot. So a big change coming out does mean that we might even see a bit of a change from the supports coming out. Maybe tanks are going to be slightly less frequent, and we might see some more mages or even supports coming out that are like the enchanters. And the main reason for this is we saw stuff like Zerf in the mid lane. There's no reason stuff like that can't get started and put into the bot side.
And you know, at 13-15 is actually the patch that, you know, there was a sudden rise of like my boy Aatrox, and then 13-15 is like, sorry Aatrox, like we're gonna keep you buffed, but you were busted.
But yeah. To say the least, Aatrox's last patch was super overpowered, so I'm not expecting him to be coming out too much today. Still is up and available, especially as we talk a bit more about this top lane matchup. We shouldn't really expect much to be coming out from the K5 side, as we do know Emperor is a big Ornn player, so it's most likely going to be a little bit more settled up there, and maybe a bit of a scaling pit coming out from me like Panda. So this whole entire fight really feels like it's focused around this mid and bot lane, and if they can really outplay each other in this early game, because we know how strong Venomcrest are, especially in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing for my money. It's like Venomcrest is really good in the mid game. They're really good in the mid game skirmishes. But do you think that K5 can try to catch them in that transition between the early to mid game where you're not really settling things up anymore? And, you know, we might just talk about that, but draft should be starting soon. So let's actually focus about that one.
There we go. Finally got ourselves into draft. And yeah, to be honest, to answer your point, I do think there is an opportunity for K5 to try and find this mid-game teamfight skirmishes, because this is one of their strongest suits, is their team fighting, is their AD carry being able to mechanically outplay the others. But coming out from both teams, it seems like support bans are going to be coming through. Real getting banned out. One thing I have looked about the Venomcrest side is they love picking up this Alistar and trying to ban away the Rumble. So I'm expecting that to be coming out for that team.
Yeah, I mean, we're already seeing the Rel and Azir being taken out. So it looks like K5 don't really like the color yellow, you know? So let's see what's actually going to happen here. Of course, with the Kai'Sa being nerfed, and then you just still have the Jace. I think Jace is going to be very high priority. So maybe you're expecting Jace to be banned, but the Tristana is the usual answer. So if Tristana's banned, that means that Venomcrest wants K5 to ban the Jace themselves.
Yeah, trying to open it up a little bit more, but Venomcrest Jungle Lonsky loves this Lee Sin, so trying to ban away his playmaker, because he's really been the core fundamental idea of what made Venomcrest win these games, the early game pressure that he is able to exude. So if K5 want to win this best of 5, they need to make sure to shut down this jungler and shut down these early game fights. As Venomcrest do pick up the Kai'Sa, still think it's powerful enough even though the nerfs. I would love to see a Caitlyn coming out. Remember we said about the buffs, also super powerful with having that extra range. If not, Zai is also a great option if they haven't had too much practice.
Yeah, I mean, that is pretty fair. But then I look at Kai'Sa, and I remember the changes. So the big question to me is, how does these changes interact? Because it's only 2% on like how little, on like how much refund do you get on your W, especially when it's evolved. But that, from what I remember, actually changes a few timings. You probably need a different build that what are you used to. You need to get Leandri just to keep the W up, to keep the plasma stack, so then you can actually proc it to these void seekers. But speaking of procking things, well, We have Nico and we do have Jace, so it's a very strong 1-2 punch. But where does that Nico fit in?
Well, Nico can actually go towards the jungle if she likes to, even as a support, but most likely won't be there. But I'm actually loving this Nico pick because of Venomcrest loving to put this into the mid lane with Modliska. So taking that away stops a lot of the power he has and the comfortability. While Venomcrest seem to not care, understanding the power of the Rumble, because this is the first time Rumble has been let through for them for, I would say, about 5 games. So picking that up for them is going to be huge, but they do need to get some lockdown with it to make it useful in these big team fights.
Yeah, the equalizer is gonna be a big card in their states, but the big question is, as he said, like how can they pair it up? And
There we
here comes
go.
the lockdown. It's a cataclysm equalizer combo, easy as you like it, simple as you like it. 2 people pressing R, and it should be a good fight. And speaking of pressing big buttons, that's
Oh,
a
I'm
big
loving
Agrippin
this.
pick coming out here.
I'm so excited for this team. K5 is coming here to fight. They don't care if Venomcrest is 18-0 or 0-18. They are playing their way, and that's exactly what the Draven is going to do for them. We talked about they needed to play for this bot side, and this is what they're doing. Jace going to have priority in the early game, and then with Nico in the jungle. But I'd love to still see a big, hard AD carry coming down for them. I would absolutely love something, maybe like a Nautilus, Leona, something along those lines.
I mean, we're still gonna see the bans with the Xante ban being taken off. It does raise a very valid point that we're still yet to see supports, still yet to see top laners. So I'm pretty sure that these 2 roles are going to be pinched here. I mean, the knowledge of this is just like, oh yeah, we don't want to give them any extra lockdown than they already have because Nico can be pretty immense, especially if you've got a good follow up and you don't want Draven to snowball. So all of this makes sense. And then I look at the Malphite ban and it's like, yeah, Draven doesn't have a lot of mobility. Sure, you do have movement, but you don't actually have a dash or a teleport. Same thing with Jay, same thing with Nico. So the unstoppable force is going to be a pretty big one. And here comes Emperor's favorite child.
He's
Well,
just
Orn being taken
trying.
off. Yeah.
He loves that Orb, but he's actually been playing a bit of Gnar in this top side, so that is also an option. Isn't the best into the Rumble, though, so just going to go for another tank in his pool, going to be that Sion, going to be that big, beefy front line they truly need. But my only issue is, what are they picking for support? Because they still need to have that heavy aggressive Scions, and the only one I'm really seeing up right now is the Leona, maybe the Rakan, but I feel like he might be too squishy. One on the opposite side for Venomcrest, still haven't picked their support. Would actually love them to try and take away one of these big tanks, steal it away from the enemy team, or maybe even a Brawn to give them a little bit more defense.
Yeah, and well, let's see what they're going to do. I mean, Alistair has been
They love
having a bit of a
Alistar.
renaissance. I don't
Yeah.
know why people love it. I understand the essence behind it. But then I look at the Syndra and I'm like, it's a pretty good pick, but mid lane security, aka Ari, just look good, you be safe, you don't give away any kills, and you can shut down anyone. And this might be it. Just waiting for it. I mean, between the 2, I would prefer seeing Syndra, but
I actually
Ari is a
really
fair
like
shot
the
as well.
Ari. Yeah, Ari, I'm actually a big fan of. LeBlanc, not as much, but they're just trying to find a pick to try and take out these Draven in these big fights from the side lane. Ari, of course, did have the charm to try and get him out before. It's a little bit difficult when there's a Sion in the front lane, so instead, try to pick up something a little bit easier to get that poke off, and that is going to be the LeBlanc. I'm not expecting the static shift to be coming out, because it's not the strongest. As K5, we have seen Nodu-chan picking a bit of this Blitzcrank. We wanted that aggressiveness out of this bot lane. And if they do pick this in, it will give them that power, especially against an Alistar in this early game. But no, instead, going to pick up the Morgana, going to play a bit more safe, meaning that Draven can just kind of walk through their team if he doesn't have a Cataclysm on him.
I mean, he can just walk straight to the bot lane as well. That is something that, sure, we're going to talk about Morgana in a macro sense and how she controls the team fights, but actually in how she controls that lane. Alistar, a lot of us just say Alistar isn't really a champion until level 2. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? You're going to be level 2, so will the Morgana, and then your entire combo is useless. The Draven could just
Well,
run through that Kaisa, and honestly, Kaisa shouldn't be having a good time in that lane at all.
no, you're completely correct about this. They will actually get pushed under quite hard. The only real opportunity that I see them taking these fights is trying to get the Black Shield out before, or when Draven and Morgana are split up. But at this level, it's not going to be very likely. So we are going to have to see if they are going to be able to break them up. While on the opposite side for Venomcrest, with their bot lane, with the Kai'Sa, they still do have a lot of poke damage before this fight even starts. So Venomcrest, they don't really care if they don't get these early leads. If they still are able to poke in these big team fights, they're still going to be pretty happy.
Yeah, but then the other side of K5. Like they should have equal poke, if not better, because as you said, like Kai'Sa has been nerfed, Jace is untouched for a while, and he still remains to be the king of the mid lane, the king of the meta as a whole right now. And especially playing against that LeBlanc with fleet footwork, if I'm not mistaken. So that actually will be problematic. I mean, if you go static shiv here on the LeBlanc, I don't know what you're doing. I'll be very honest with you, Dathos. I'm not the biggest fan of it anymore. It used to be good on 13-13, maybe 13-12, but from 13-14 onwards, like the nerfs were just too severe, and she doesn't really do as much as she used to initially.
Well, at some point in this game, we're going to have to see if Modliska ever really has the damage that it seems to be lacking from a lot of these LeBlanc players. Remember, it just gives you a lot of dashing around, a lot of mobility, where you can try and find these side engages, because there are four squishy members on the side of K5, so even if it isn't the best pick, it's still going to be powerful. It's just an assassin alone.
Well, let's speak about it. 5 champions on the Rift, ladies and gentlemen. Playoffs have kicked off, and Nodo-chan is wanted under award. Oh, who will they give it to? They'll give it to Draven. That's 1 minion sooner to level 2. And that actually is going to be a pretty big thing in that level 2 exchange, because we're talking about how important the early levels are for the Draven, setting the pace for the matchup, and giving him a 1 minion lead is actually going to be pretty big in the grand scheme of things.
And it is also so important to try and get an early lead on the side of K5, because if you take a look at their team, it is all early game focus, especially with the Jace as well. The amount of burst damage he does have, of course, because of having the different changes on abilities, going from range to melee, has 6 different abilities to try and deal damage. So it'll be interesting to see how much he can actually get done in this early game. But I would have to say both teams are looking very strong. I can't really give it to either one just yet.
Yeah, we'll just have to let the game unravel the story. The story right now is a late invade by K5. They push them out. It looks like they will have to concede jungling vertically, because they know that Olonski has put a ward on Raptors. But Emperor... Wait, are they going to give it to Emperor, and Emperor is just going to TP with a red buff? What is Emperor doing here?
So basically, one thing that you see quite a lot from the side of, well, anyone with a Sion, is they'd love to put him down towards this bot lane, love to try and help farm this up, because remember, he doesn't really care about levels or XP, he is just going to be this big tech later on, so it's just allowing Bash to get further and further ahead, meaning that he can contest whatever he wants, while K5 now, after this, can go for the reset, can TP back straight up, Wave's going to be perfectly into his tower, so he doesn't really care. Or are they looking for a tower dive? Wait, scrap everything I've said. They are looking for a tower dive at level 2.
2 minutes and 20 seconds, and they are looking at them before level 2. Emperor will conceive first blood, but there comes the hook, there comes the binding. Here's 1 kill, but Canal will flash out. Pretty ballsy, but they lose it because they give up first blood.
This is the game we wanted to see. Venomcrest getting dumpstered in that first fight. Emperor did actually die on top of that, so it wasn't as strong as what they would have expected, as we do see J4 is still towards this bot side, maybe looking for something. Morgana is going to be nearby. It's going to be hard to do.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how long will they take. Probably waiting for Nodu-chan to make a move. Here he comes, flag and drag are present, waiting for it. Now Nodu-chan is stuck, but that's a perfect black shield. Heal is expanded. Here comes a CC, and Draven is gonna be pretty damaging. Damage, axe upon axe. They keep spinning, and Bash is coming to the bot lane, so no harm, no foul. Great reaction there by the Morgana.
But take a look at the CS difference between Bash and Olonski. Having a 6 CS lead, having gold up in the bot lane as well. Still looking very good from the side of K5. The only issue with them is the first kill did go over towards the LeBlanc, while on the side of Venomcrest, the kill went over to Kai'Sa. But I'm loving this early aggression. This feels like the K5 that we did at the start of the split. The one that went from Division 3 to Division 2 in just one split.
Yeah, and I like it. Like, they're just pretty certain what they want to do. They were like, yeah, we want to make it live. Let's actually live. Let's make this pretty hard for the other team. And they're doing it well. Like, there's already a 10 CS lead. There's an equal lead in the top side. And this is where I'm slightly worried. Because sure, Draven enjoys being ahead, and he's very hard to play against when he's ahead. But a Rumble with lane lead, with an equalizer, with a Jarvan as well, to actually facilitate that combo, it's gonna be a menace in the top side, especially if you're gonna skirmish for Herald.
Yeah, Herald is going to be very difficult to take. I think the only way they can fight for this is trying to push out this bot side with the pressure they have accumulated from it, and then roam up your bot lane to this mid lane, then look for it. But to be honest, I'm expecting Venomcrest to just leave the top lane how it is, allow me like Panda to farm up, because he's going to be so strong in these late game team fights. Because we talked about how we needed to have somebody to lock them down to allow that equalizer to do its job. He has an Alistar plus a Cataclysm coming out from J-Force. They are looking strong, but Venomcrest, I don't think they're done with bot side.
Oh, they're paying them back the favor, and this time it's the 4-man dive. DP's coming in, but the binding has missed, and Floops will just flop. He will still get one back. TP is expanded from the mid lane.
The wave is just completely destroyed from the side of K5. Floops, remember, we needed a lead on him. Losing a lot of XP and gold does mean it's going to be a lot harder. Luckily, Cobbin is going to be able to pick this up. We will see Draven go towards this mid lane to pick up the farm himself. But a great play coming out for Venomcrest is trying to show that they can fight with this. While on the top lane, seems like Emperor just got towered over.
Yeah, it's not looking good. Equalizer was used by me like Panda. A 2-level lead is accrued. And Floops is just moving to mid lane, trying to equalize that farm. LeBlanc is still in that part of the game where she does damage just because of the base numbers on her abilities. But eventually, with that static shift build, like, I'm just looking at everything that K5 has. They're still equal in gold. And most of that is actually just bash on the Nico.
Yeah, Bash and Nico does have quite a big lead, because look at the CS numbers. This J4 just does not care about anything else except for helping his team. And we talked about how Venomcrest, how they like to play. Olonsky in this early game, always prioritizing his teammates, will even give up Skull Crabs for his team. But because of the priority in the mid lane and the bot side, K5 are able to pick up first straight of the game. Olonsky trying to farm up, trying to get a little bit back as he is still only level 4.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best time you can go for the Dragon. No Equalizer in the Rumble. And the Rumble is going to Ignite, not Teleport, so you're not really worried about a cross-map play just yet. So for now, the game has slightly stabilized, but there's a slight lead for the side of Venomcrest.
Just a small lead on that. But remember, the next major team fight, K5 Floops, is able to cash it in. That's really going to be the big game changer for him, because he has been farming up for quite a bit of time. So it'd be interesting if he's able to do something with that. But I'm not expecting anything to be coming out until this level 6 mark. When the Cataclysm comes out, then I'm expecting maybe another fight.
Well, speaking of level marks, level 7 mark, I mean, like Panda is mauling.
Emperor, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Top lane. You're not meant to win this. Emperor just needs to try and survive as much as possible.
Here's the
Soak
thing.
up as much pressure.
Can he? Can he, though?
It's hard to say. I don't think he can really survive much longer, because he's going to have to reset and give up just so much gold. As Bash, talking about giving up gold, is not farming as he's looking for the hot lane.
They find the combo, and here comes the cash out. No, here comes the bash out. As Bash is gonna get another kill, and Floops remain without any adoration just yet.
Well, that was actually a pretty good one. I have to give it to you. Bash out. I think it's one of your best, but no, really well played coming out from the side of K5. Knowing that Venomcrest want to go over with it and want to try and overextend, they are able to pick up a kill on top of that. While the mid lane, we've talked a lot about how strong Modliska can be in this mid lane. I feel like he hasn't really been able to get much done in this early game, as Cobbin's done really well pushing out these waves and keeping priority for his team.
Yeah, I mean, most of this priority should just be reverted back to try to equalize the game, and I feel like that's the thing about Karolinerna here, is that they're not trying to do so, and Emperor is gonna die again. Me like Panda just dominating in that top side, and now here comes the jungle fight. Alistar is not in a good position, but no ultimate, no Duchan coming in. The damage is great, and Bash is gonna find another one. A lot of good job here on the Nico, but the problem is there is a Rumble that is as threatening in the top side, and apparently Sion cannot stop him.
This is really difficult, because K5 has to decide, do you want to try and fight near top lane, try and make sure to shut down me like Panda so he doesn't get any stronger, and stabilize Emperor, or would we rather play towards the bot side, play around our Draven and Bash, try and get a lead more and more, and hope that late game we're just going to be stronger?
Yeah, well, it's a trade-off that you have to take. Honestly, I'm not sure if you're even allowed to leave Sion anymore. Because I feel like Sion is just meat on the table for the Rumble at this time. You just need to either move the Morgana or keep Bash closer to Emperor to maybe try to shut down me like Panda from aggressing. But speaking of aggression, Venomcrest, well, they've been aggressing a lot on the top side, and they will be rewarded. Herald, and that's a lot of gold that will be injected into someone. Honestly, I would love to see it into the Rumble. Just complete the Mythic, complete like another component, and then this Equalizer is gonna be an absolute menace in team fights.
To be honest, I actually wouldn't mind them just leaving Rumble in this top lane to just keep constantly killing the top lane, farming it up, and then use it somewhere like the mid lane instead. Because Rumble, even if he does get the tower, won't be able to do much more.
Oh no. Oh no, Alistar is not having a good time. Here comes the abilities. Touch is gonna flash out. But that's pretty good from the side of K5 here. They managed to regain bot lane control. And Canal is still in harm's way. Bash is still there. No wars from Canal this yet.
To be honest, Tower Dive should be completely free if they want to do this. But instead, I still think they should really do this. But J4 is coming up, so they need to do it quick. Otherwise, it's not going to be too easy.
Oh, wow. What a bind here. And this time, Flops is going to actually catch it out. Bash will take off. And you know what? We haven't been talking about supports a lot. But this matchup, No Duchan has been absolutely monstrous in the Morgana. I think he only missed one Dark Binding the entire game here for the first 10 minutes.
No Duchan is just smurfing this game. As Touch hasn't even reached that level 6 mark, so doesn't have the unstoppable will to try and get him outside of it. But really well played, as Draven has got himself a BF sword, now the Dirk, and the damage is really coming through from the side of K5.
Yeah, damage is really coming in. But again, we still haven't seen them combine. A ward there in the top side will alert the side of Venomcrest once Bash gets to there. But, you know, we were talking about how important the bot lane is. And honestly, I feel like K5 got the lead they wanted. But now they got a nemesis in the top side in Panda. And I don't know if he can even stop Panda this one. 2 plates, well, probably going to get the third. And Emperor is just sitting there.
I mean, there's just not a lot he can do except for farming these waves. But the benefit is Dragon will be spawning in the next 10 seconds. So I'm expecting to go for that. Whereas, do we even want to look topside? I think we're about to see a horror movie.
Yeah, guys, just keep us here at the Dragon. Honestly, it's not going to be a good look. Emperor does have ultimate. But I don't know if it's even worth it to go into that. Yeah, but, you know, gold injection coming in for me like Panda. Herald is used. Cobbin has moved as well. So they will just try to, hey, you know what, guys? You don't need to push us that much. But they're going to get first turret, and it's going to be a big gold lead movement to them here. Almost 1,500 gold.
Benefit is 2 Drakes are over onto the side. Okay, 5 stay. Could try and go for an early Dragon stack if they want. They are looking bot.
Oh, here comes the Pop Blossom, and here comes Flops. Getting one. Bash getting the second. TP is coming in. That's Malishka. Malishka's trying to look for Bash. And this is still the time that Malishka does damage, completing that Shiv, and will get that big shutdown.
That is going to be a big shutdown, but it's still overall a good win from the side of K5 and his bot side. Able to push out the wave, able to get another kill on towards his Draven. I mean, his first item will be complete when he resets. And I think there's an opportunity for him to try and fight me like Panda in one of these 1v1s. But to be honest, it's going to be hard to say because they really need to make sure to keep winning these big team fights, especially when they're trying to stack these Drakes. If they aren't able to do so, there is an opportunity for the side laners of Venomcrest to really start becoming an issue, especially with me like Panda being, you know, 2-0 and ready finishing first item and boots.
Yeah, well, speaking of finishing first item, if we're looking at what's going on, we are actually seeing almost identical itemization for most people. I'd say the people that are definitely far and away the most ahead has to be the Nico and the Draven. Draven finished collector first item, so that's a statement. It's like, I want my executes, I want my kills. I'm sorry guys, they cannot keep leaving people at 5 points of health and then taking them away from me. But then I'm looking at the rest of Venomcrest. They're stationed alive here at Cobbin.
Next deck flash.
Oh, a Flag and Drag as well. This should be game over. But Cobbin somehow lives, forces a Cataclysm out, and even pushes Olski away from a touch. It's pretty close to going down. But at the end of the day, the 4-man combo was just too much for Cobbin to handle. Me like Panda might be too big of a problem for the side of K5.
But take a look at this bot side. Draven are going to be able to pick up a few tower plates. There's a lot of damage onto touch. Not being able to really dodge anything this game it seems like. But I don't think Flukes will be able to pick up this tower, as all the side of Venomcrest will be coming down towards this. So great play in the mid lane, getting themselves a little bit more gold. Aren't able to finish off the tower though, which is going to be big from the side of K5. Does mean they still have pressure in the mid lane and try and play around it.
Honestly, that though, I want to take your opinion in something, because I feel like we've seen a lot of tower dives in this game, but from what I can see, it just feels the execution from Venomcrest is much cleaner. Like, how many people did die in their dives? I feel like only one person died in the dives as a whole. In comparison, K5 always loses someone when they actually try to attempt it.
Before you say that, take a look in bot lane. Nodu-chan hiding in this bush, pretending that he is the Nico, as Nico is actually Morgana. Something that is actually quite impressive, but 4 members down to the bot side, they're looking for a fight.
Yeah, and they are still in a man disadvantage, now alerting them, hey, unbash, get back off. And they will. A lot of respect here coming in from the side of Venomcrest, knowing that the time for their fight is not yet. No equalizer, no cataclysm, and there's no reason to take a fight when such big ultimates are down, especially when the ultimates for the side of K5 are up. And I feel like this has actually been the main point of the game so far, is that these two teams, they never actually have exchanged a real team fight. Just one team making a play, the other team making a play somewhere else. And it ended up in a gold lead for me like Panda and 2 dragons for K5.
We may actually see the first team fight, as Rift Herald will be spawning in the next few seconds. There is a possibility for K5 to fight this. Draven has completed the Infinity Edge, has completed the Collector as well, so it's going to be super powerful, but it is going to be difficult as the full enemy team has completed their first items. As it seems like both teams are going to be poisoned around it, but to be honest, I'm expecting both to not go for it straight away.
Honestly, the one thing that I can say about it is, more time for Emperor to return to becoming a champion. One day that sign will be Amichio, but the problem is it might be too late because Flops has been absolutely taken down. Bash might pop a Blossom, but he will be popped by Modlishka straight afterwards, and that's a big blunder. And now Venomcrest are back in the pole position.
And they're able to get this mid lane tower on the back of that, and you would most likely expect the Rift Herald taken as well. And Floop's just getting a little bit overconfident in this mid lane and thinking that no one was there because of this ward into the tri-bush in the spot side. But no, wasn't able to spoil him out, able to pick up a quick kill. And now it's actually looking quite bad from the side of K5 as the shutdown does go over to the enemy team, and even Bash as well dies.
And I have to think about playing with the Morgana. You play a lane for 14 minutes, 15 minutes, you're conditioned to be hyper aggro because the black shield is there and it will protect you if they go for you, but then Morgana steps back for 1 second and you're still in that same mental state. And this is what Venomcrest are exposing here, is that they know how to pick the timing. They saw that the Morgana isn't close and then they went for it. Speaking of Morgana, that's another binding landing, but I don't think that they have the pressure to go for it. Wolski with a big combo, and here comes the equalizers, burning people alive. Just look at that. Du-Chan will go down, and they'll continue to try to fight this time around, setting themselves up for the dragon, and Venomcrest are back at the bottom side big time.
Taking out Nodu-chan does mean that K5 have to give up this dragon, which means stacking it is going to take even longer. They will try and look for this mid lane. I mean, like Panda's coming in, I don't think they can finish it off in time.
Well, I mean, they have to trade something back, and this is what they're attempting. The problem is it isn't enough, but on the flip side, just Wolski there on the dragon, and just Wolski is going to take a lot of time. That's enough time for the team to stabilize. Also time for Canal and Touch to establish a foothold in the bot side. And what started off pretty rough for Venomcrest, they were able to revert it just by sending Me Like Panda to the team fights. Me Like Panda participating has turned the game on its head there.
And I think it's just so important to show what Venomcrest can do when they do have a lead, because they were able to just get a kill in the mid lane. They were able to make sure the mid tower doesn't fall, get Dragon, and even get bot lane tower, just showing how proactive this team is. And when you give them a little, they take a lot. So K5 doing well in this early game, but now the gold lead is at the 5k mark towards the side of Venomcrest. So it's going to look quite difficult, especially when they are trying to be a snowballing team.
Hey, I mean, there is some silver linings, which I feel like, hey, Modlishka will eventually taper off a little bit just because Static Shift really delays their AP build. And especially, I don't get it. Like, maybe you can explain to me. I get that Static Shift has been the core item for the LeBlanc for an eternity now. But ever since its nerf, why would you go static only to then pivot back into the usual AP build?
I just find it so funny how much you truly hate this Static Shift build. But no, to answer your point, it's mostly because you want the priority in the side lanes. You want to try and push it out as much as possible, which the Static Shift, of course, does help with. Then the Ludens helps you actually try and burst someone down. So it probably isn't the most useful in natural team fight, but with map states and trying to make sure that you can move first for your team, it is actually really quite powerful.
Yeah, well, I mean, last time he played Rocket Belt, not Luden, so, maybe a Rocket will come in, because Vash is trying to find a Pop Blossom, is accident, but so is the Equalizer. Floop will not survive for long. This time is Common trying to capitalize, but it's not enough. Venomcrest are too healthy. Venomcrest are too strong. Me like Panda feels like you are dead, as they are chasing Common down, and the team fight again wins for the side of the Snakes.
It was looking good from the side of K5 at the start, but the team fight does go in the favour of Venomcrest. It is going to be a 4-1, as they will be starting up this Baron, and this game is not going the way. And this is all on the back of Moonlight Panda getting that big trade in the top lane early on, being 5-0, 2 items to his name, really carrying in his team through this first game.
Yeah, I mean, and it's all a butterfly effect. You think about what happened. Sion wasted 10 creeps, almost to level, early on. Got dove by the Ignite Rumble. Honestly, kudos for picking Ignite in the top lane. He's a real one. But, it's just that cascading effect. Because then, suddenly the Sion kind of stay in the lane. Me like Panda just farmed a lot of gold. And they even invested in Me like Panda with that Herald. So, a lot of things say that Venomcrest knew their win condition. And they played to it in this one.
And one thing we actually haven't talked a lot about is, remember, Bash had a very good early game, being able to farm up a lot, being able to be there for his team. But now, when we look at the experience lead, everybody in Venomcrest is 1 level up from the enemy laner, just showing just how far ahead they truly are, as they will actually be able to pick up the Baron. And with this Baron, I'm expecting a 1-3-1 to be coming out, trying to put Modliska on a side lane. Same with this Rumble, and trying to just slowly push this out with their ward, allowing Touch and Kennel in this mid lane to try and stay safe.
Yeah, well, you know what? We're talking about itemization in the game state. Cobbin is yet to hit his Mormana, not even building the mana immune just yet. So, I feel like some item completions will definitely help the side of Karolinerna here in actually having an equal team fight. But they haven't reached it just yet. And I feel like they are just dying to farm and try to take the next dragon fight. Next dragon fight, Equalizer is still there. A lot of tools are still there. And look at me like Vandal just farming down Emperor, and Canal as well is going to fly.
Has to use the ult to get himself out. As K5 have given up the bot lane tower, probably going to have to give up mid. There's a lot of poke does come out, but Venomcrest, they don't care. They just let the minions do their work, able to finally pick up this mid lane tower and almost the bot side.
I mean, they'll take both down. The thing is, though, what else are they taking? Look at the Alistar again engaging. What an equalizer! I feel like this is actually the solver, because look at that fight. Me like Panda's gonna get one. Modliska's getting a second. Me like Panda again dominating with a triple. Should be a quadra, and it will be, but no, it will be Canal getting that last stick with the plasma. It's an ace underneath their base for the side of K5, and Venomcrest dominating with the timers as well. They might be able to end it.
They can end it here for sure. 10 seconds on any of the members from K5. Me like Panda, it's tanking up the tower, finally getting out of range, but his whole game has been on his back. He has been the one winning Venomcrest their first game.
Yeah, I mean, there comes no Luchan, but I feel like it's not enough. Their HP bars actually might make it pretty doable. They're gonna get one. 1,000 gold is coming in, but the base is open. The base survives. Wait, here comes the TP.
Modliska.
Modliska, 1 auto, 2 autos, 3 autos, and the Nexus is down. Venomcrest still gets it. Venomcrest saved the day, and they take game 1 in 23 minutes.
Volt, that team is meant to be 18-0. That team is 18-0. We're not going to deny the fact. We're not going to deny that they are meant to be the ones to win this series. However, K5, not a bad game, especially that early game. Did have a bit of bite, to say the least, especially with the Sion early game. Driver's like a little bit unconventional, trying to, win that early game fight through, the little bit of a unique pick. Now, it didn't work out for them. They lost the game. However, I feel like we are not going to be seeing a 3-0. I think it's genuinely going to be a very close match between both teams.
Honestly, this was a very close match.
Yeah.
All it took was just shutting down an Ego, shutting down a Draven once, and suddenly the game is turned for Venomcrest. And that's the great thing about Venomcrest, is that once they get a lead, they get it. But you know what? I feel like what happened here in this game has got to be just labeled in one form. It's just you chase a snake, you need to get it by its head, not by its tail. I feel like they were chasing the tail of the snake the entire game.
I completely agree with you there. It feels like Venomcrest were always ahead of the curtain. And one thing that we can see just Venomcrest can do is when you give them a lead, you're done. When they finally have you in their grasp, you will be able to succeed. However, if K5 are able to push this early game just a little bit more, have Bash find those leads he was able to for his team, I really think K5 are in with a chance this series.
Yeah, and you know what? I wasn't a big believer of the LeBlanc, but it actually kind of proved me wrong. Malishka, as he said, helped in a split push, got some big shutdowns, and with how much mobility LeBlanc has, was actually able to be present in a lot of these side lane skirmishes.
Completely agreed with you there. But remember, we also have plenty of other games to play, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's a BO5, so Venomcrest has to win 2 more. We'll see what happens. They're 1-0 up here at our first round in the upper bracket. Let's see what's going to happen next after the break.
Welcome back, everybody, to NLC Division 2 playoffs. And after a closer fought game than perhaps some might have thought, Venomcrest do claw themselves to 1-up. Zathos, I have to address the elephant in the room. The Scion cheese. Sort of worked, but at what cost?
Where do we begin? Welcome to BDS version 2. All jokes aside, yeah, it was an interesting play. I actually really love ingenuity and something new coming, especially to NLC, because I haven't really been seeing it around too often. So the benefit of a Scion cheese is you can play around bot side, of course. You can try and find that early kill, especially when you have a level 3 in your jungler by helping them out. However, a 1-for-1 in the bot side, Scion super far behind, and then because Scion was behind, everybody knows what Rumble did last game. Took over the game, dominated, won it for Venomcrest. That all came down to the Scion cheese because he went for it. He was not top lane when he was meant to. Too low. Got killed once. It's okay. 1 kill's fine. Got killed again with the equalizer. And then from there, it just felt like the game just started slipping away. And it really just came down to they just didn't understand what you needed from this cheese. Because if that dive went slightly differently, I really think K5 could have took this game.
Well, let's continue to talk about the bot lane as a whole then, Vuxel, because despite that dive going slightly awry, the lane did go pretty well. It felt like Noro-chan was doing a lot of work on the Morgana, keeping Floop safe, and sure, he didn't get super ahead in the early game, but they were at least keeping even with Kennel and Touch throughout the early stages.
That's the thing, though. Like, keeping even isn't what you wanted when you're picking Draven. You pick Draven, you do the cheese, and you're just supposed to funnel everything into that Draven and make him your superhero. Then it ends up that way, and some of it has got to be on that cheese, as that's a step. But the other part has got to be the fact that even their dives weren't that clean. Like even the second and third dive attempts, they always gave someone up in return for a kill or two.
I love my brain state. Yeah. So this is how my brain works. I just picturing the Enrique Iglesias song. I can be your hero, baby, but Draven, and it's take that mental image, and yeah, that's don't worry about it. Tell him something smart, Zath.
It's an okay song, I guess. But okay, if we do actually want to say about why he wasn't your hero, baby, it's because he didn't pick up the first kill. Remember in that one play in the bot side, and because of that, no Draven lead. Draven did get a couple of kills afterwards, but remember, Bash had 2-3 kills in the early game. That was on the Draven. They'll be looking fine, but of course, he couldn't be your hero.
So, looking forwards to game number 2 then, Vuxel. What are we expecting gone? Aside from the Rumble, because I feel like that's obvious to even the most iron of players here.
I mean, as I said, like, it's pretty obvious. I feel like the whole thing is you just don't want Malishka to spit the ether or the lightning, like, depending on what happened there, onto your players. Because I feel like the main thing wasn't just Panda. It was actually Malishka just moving to the bot side, making sure to pick up any stragglers. And this is where Bash actually fell down once or twice. Malishka was just there after the dive and managed to recuperate a kill. And that kept Venomcrest in the game. And you need to do something about that. If you're going to commit, you need to commit ASAP. And you need to get out cleanly. And that is something that we haven't seen from K5 in game 1.
We'll see if that does happen. Karolinerna have opted to stay on the red side for game 2. But we are very close to getting on into draft. So I will leave you guys to it. Have fun.
Well, thank you for giving it back over to us, Brackish. It's always a great time to have another British man on cast with us. But Volt, first game was a banger. Second game, I'm hoping for the same thing. And like he mentioned before, in the draft, Rumble, of course, going to be banned away. I'm expecting most likely to... I mean, picking the side could be okay again, but it just felt like they weren't really able to do much with it. So I would like to try and pick up the Yawn slightly earlier for Emperor so he feels a little bit more comfortable. But I still think playing for bot side and going for these early aggressions is what they need.
Yeah, I mean, we say that, but I feel like one of the things that we actually didn't touch upon was Milak Panda playing Ignite top. I didn't feel it missing in the team fights. So that's something that actually might be problematic for K5. If the top laner can get Ignite and can still exert value in the team fights, then there might be a slight problem with how you're managing the game. But speaking of managing the games, almost the same first 4 bans, identical to game number 1.
Now, we're going to have to see if K5 ban last Lee Sin again, or if it is going to be that infamous Rumble. And I think he just got a bit out of hand from a misplay coming out from K5, because I'm not expecting the Silent Cheese to be coming out again. That's sort of a one and done thing in a series, and you maybe bring it out in a couple of weeks' time again to make sure the teams never really expect it. As Venomcrest are taking a little while to do their third ban, it will be that Tristana, trying to stop the power picks away from Cobbin. As one thing that K5 need to try and do is try and shut down Me Like Panda in this top side, especially with Alonsky, knowing just how powerful they are as a duo.
I mean, yeah, and that's why you banned Zero Way, because you don't give Malishka their first pick. But is it a deja vu? Am I seeing something wrong? It's a Kaisa again, same 6 bans. And honestly, if I'm then, maybe I switch it up. Maybe I pick up a Caitlyn, or maybe I pick up a dominant jungler right now.
Dominant Jungle could be on the cards for Game 5. They do actually enjoy quite a bit of Kindred, so that could be a possibility for them to be picking up first pick, but most likely still going to be an ADC. Instead, still thinking LeBlanc's quite powerful. Membo, you are not the biggest fan of the stack shift build, but it does just give a lot of poke damage. Does, just get you around the map, allows you to be very safe in this mid lane, so that will get picked up for the second pick. I'm expecting maybe a jungler, but instead, we'll be picking up Desire instead.
Yeah, safe and sound. Not really a lot of problems with Desire. Of course, she isn't gonna have the same degree of dominance as a Draven. But you know who might have a degree of dominance? The Rumble if it gets picked again. So let's
Well,
see what happens.
to be honest, it's a Rumble. You saw it last game. We saw it. The Rumble should be pretty healthy in this top side. There are a few counters into it. Heimerdinger is something that we do know the AD carry for K5 plays. I don't believe the top laner does of Emperor, but that is an opportunity if they want to go for it. And I just feel like this is a weaker draft from K5 than last game, because last game they had that early game aggression. They had that little punch that they needed to go against Venomcrest. But this game, it feels like they're a lot more defensive, as Venomcrest have gone for the Annie in the mid lane side. They did get a little bit of a nerf, but it's just going to be so powerful because LeBlanc, whenever he comes in, press that R key, get the Tibbers out. It's going to be hard to try and find these disengages and re-engages coming out from LeBlanc.
I mean, you say that. It's the Sandra, basically the same thing. Just one person instead of an entire team. But I'm pretty sure Lissandra got some sizable buffs. I'm not sure if it's 13-14 or 13-15, where she got like the slow buff on her Q. She got a big buff on her self-healing on the R. And things are looking good. And honestly, if I'm Emperor, I'm happy. I was about to say, if you're not going to pick that Heimerdinger, maybe you can pick one of the tanks that are pretty good into the Rumble. Ornn is one of them. I think Tompkins is better, but Ornn is actually really serviceable in this situation.
Now, the issue with picking Tam Kench is it is a very good tank in the laning phase, but later the game goes, it's not really that useful at all, especially because he only has to really eat up, and then Zai already has the defensive ability, so the Ornn is a lot better of a pick, and it feels like K5 are going to be trying to go for a late game team fight. On the opposite side for Venomcrest, it feels like they are trying to go for these mid lane skirmishes, trying to, mess up the map a little bit more. Now, one champion I really love with the comp that Venomcrest has done is Olonsky on his Viego, because of course you do have to stun up from Lissandra, and you can get that quick reset if you do like to. So we're going to have to see if Venomcrest do agree with me, as they are going to be on their last ban, as K5 did ban away the Kindred and the Poppy.
Yeah, honestly, I understand the Kindred wholeheartedly, because I'm looking at LeBlanc, I'm looking at the Ornn, I'm expecting the last 2 picks to be big follow-up to that engage, but then you see it's Venomcrest banning the Viego themselves, which means that they actually were expecting K5 to pick that Viego in the jungle. Now, options are slightly limited for the junglers. Of course, the Jarvan is still on the board, Kindred is out, Belveth is something very interesting indeed.
K5 coming out with some weird picks. Hasn't still 100% been locked in, but it will actually be very strong in this mid to late game, especially when it can be a little bit more tanky, as Vengar will be hovering it. But did we actually know that this is a bash special, this Belveth? So we're going to have to see what somebody who really understands the champion is going to be pulling out, as Venomcrest are really considering what to pick. Feels like this is kind of a curveball that K5 are thrown at him.
I mean, it is a curveball, because I'm looking at the team, and Belveth is going to be very problematic if you run into her. And I was thinking, what, that Fiddlesticks is actually perfect. But they go for the Nautilus. Glacial Augment is nerfed. But in the context of this game, the Nautilus is pretty good, and the Jarvan as well. If it ain't broke, just don't fix it.
Too much AP as well in Venomcrest. That's the way they cannot pick up the Fiddlesticks. But we're seeing like Venomcrest went from this mid lane skirmishy fight to a heavy dive. Let's get into your face. Let's win this fight as fast as possible. As Venomcrest jungler, Vi could be very useful, able to lock someone up. But I would actually not mind something like the Nocturne to get onto one of these main carries. Does, of course, have the spell shield to keep themselves safe. Lilia is also an option they can pick, but I still think that's a little bit too much AP, as they will actually pick in the Trundle.
Yeah, well, so let's see what the last man will be. Already got top, already got mid, so it will be support. And Braum,
I really
I'm
like Grom. I
I like
actually really
Braum.
like
Yeah,
him.
I like him, but the thing is, I feel like you could have just picked Braum in R4 and then kept Bel'Veth more hidden later. Because I'm pretty sure nobody would have picked Bel'Veth out of Bash. Because then you also have a bigger surprise factor. You don't allow the side of Venomcrest to actually adjust in B4 B5. But you know what? I'll give it to the Braum. I think Braum is probably one of the best supports in that spot.
Completely, because when we look at the side of K5, they just want to play front to back. They want to try and farm up, get their own artifacts onto their main carries of the ADC and the jungler, especially with Bash being on his best champion in solo queue, the one he's actually played the most. So we want front to back from them. While on the opposite side of Venomcrest, they are trying to look for these picks, trying to pick people off, especially with the Cataclysm, sorry, not the Cataclysm, with the Frozen Tomb in the mid lane, able to stun someone up so quickly, especially with the enemy team. So K5, they are not clumped up as a team. Venomcrest will be able to pick them apart.
Yeah, and that's the big thing though. It's like, as you said, Venomcrest still rolling with that same idea of, you know what, we have the Rumble. It's pretty big. It's gonna be good in the top lane. I'm pretty sure Ornn isn't gonna have as good of a time as you would think a hard counter might, but he will still be pretty good. Like, that's the thing. I feel like Ornn should be better than the Sion, especially considering if you're playing Ornn, you're probably not going to be a level behind, then you're going to die at level 3. So, like, things should be better. But I'm still thinking that Venomcrest got a pretty good draft considering everything that they've gotten. They got in their Kaisa, and they got me like Panda again for the second time on the Rumble.
Well, the only benefit K5 do have is they do have a better late game comp, while Venomcrest are going to be a lot stronger in this mid and early games. They need to get the ball rolling, and with how Alonsky likes to play this game, he loves to give up these camps. He loves to try and, play around his team. So we're going to have to see if he can get something started in this early game.
Well, early game has started. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rift. Game 2 is upon us, and K5 thinking about something cheeky. They saw this ward last game. They're conditioned to expect it. They might have a Brahma. Look at Awolski wisening up, thinking, hey, it's too risky. We don't see anything. Better safe than sorry.
I absolutely love this play coming out from K5 because you see how there are 3 members here, 2 members in the bot lane for them. They try to fake a bot lane engage, and because of that, they try to hide in this bush because they know everybody likes to ward these raptors. But smart coming out from Venomcrest to try and bait this out. And I haven't seen a play like that in so long. Very interesting. And it feels like K5, every single game, just have a new early game to try and play for.
I mean, that's the best thing that they can try to achieve in my eyes. Because you know what? 18-0. We've beat the drum on Venomcrest so many times, but they are just that good in team fights. So K5's best chance is just doing what they're doing right now. Keeping their attention somewhere, getting that early game lead. And for the second time in a row, we will be seeing Bash going into that blue side and getting that blue, and we're getting that red buff rather.
And because of this, he has 2 opportunities. Does he want to try and take this, farm up the full bot jungle, or try and split the map? Or would he rather try and get 3 of the camps and then try and, split up the map to get more gold for himself? Most likely, I'm expecting to have him clear this raptor camp and try and look bot side. As Kennel.
That was really close, though. Kennel realized that he was in too deep, and I was like, yeah, I'm a peace out. But he got the flash out of Floops, despite pulling his own flash for it.
I'm not even going to lie. I didn't even expect that to happen. That's why I didn't even start talking about it. What do you even say? I don't know what to say after that fight. There's no analysis.
It's like a flashback to solo queue. That one guy that runs into mid tower as soon as the rift opens. And he just gets executed to like, hey guys, you know what? We got a kill on the board. They pulled the wave though. So that's something that is actually pretty good. Because looking at the wave position, it will crash back at the time that Wonsky will be towards that bot side. And Wonsky is actually looking for Bash here in that red side jungle.
Yeah, really smart play, but he doesn't actually notice Bash is down bot lane already.
Oh, but they missed the Q. Now Nodu-chan has to fall back. Bash might be in a bit of a risky position, especially that they go for it. They're trying to find a stun, but they are exhausted. A knockup will come in. Canal will fall down. Bash is going to get the first blood, but Bash is also needing to be wary because Wonsky is there. But this time around, K5 devoting less, but getting more for their worth.
Remember, first kill on Bash. This is very important for the team because of the BO5. You start this champion, start rolling, they are just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. While Alonsky is able to clear a bit of vision, able to help his team just a little bit, but still, great play coming out from them. 400 extra gold into Bash's pocket.
Yes, it's honestly a good play from their side, but the big thing is, can they keep up? Because we've seen them early game commit to dive, commit to play. So I feel like Venomcrest were actually the team that got more done eventually at the end of the day. So, you know, keeping that early pressure up, I'm hoping to see it up throughout the entire game. For now, waiting for everything to unravel. It's been a pretty stable game. It looks like it will continue to be good damage here. It might be risky. Touch is pretty low, but the dredge line will pull them out to safety.
Yeah, no ignite onto Nodu-chan does mean they aren't able to pick this up, as Alonsky is just constantly hunting for Bash, trying to see what he can do, but really well played from Bash, understanding that he can't ever play towards his top side. And you talked about stability before. No death on Emperor just yet. It's going a lot better than last game.
Yeah, it's going pretty good. I mean, I'm just looking at Touch, and Touch isn't having a good game. Pretty low on health, and Bash is there again, even calling the Blaze just to make sure that Touch is in touching distance of dying. But Owonski on the other side is actually farming, and I feel like Bash, you know, when you're picking Bel'Veth, you might actually want to go for the farm. It looks like the kills, it will be. The dive is there, but it's only 3 minions. Bash is taking a third shot, but that was picture perfect play from Bash, dashing away from the red line and then pulling the Nautilus under.
Bash just trying to debate him with that hook, and because he was able to take it, Touch having no flash up and available is actually going to get taken out as Emperor, dealing quite a bit of damage in the top lane, just showing the difference about when he is comfortable in a champion and isn't.
Yeah, I mean, so let's see what's actually gonna happen now, because Bash got a big lead, but Bash is somehow behind in CS on a Bel'Veth. So that is something that we don't see so often, but it is something to at least wonder about, like, what can Bash do from here? Will he actually be able to catch up and get the stacks necessary to be a menace in the middle lane game?
Well, the biggest issue is he is still only level 3, meaning that he may have damage, but when you're against a level 6 mid laner, you can't really contest that, so you are going to have to try and walk with your jungler, try and go to the enemy jungle, maybe even pick up a few camps, because Olonsky has been incredible at denying him these camps, and most likely the XP, and this is why Nodu-chan has to help him here.
Yeah, but it's actually pretty good. I like this from the side of K5. You know that there shouldn't be much contention for them here. Like, Owonski is probably on a reset, and they've seen them take the Raptors on the top side, and they just know. You know what? It's just gonna be Canal and Touch, and with Bash being 2-0 and the LeBlanc with the lead, it should be pretty easy. Touch is gonna be stunned again. Glacial Augment is out. The line as well will pull him to safety. Just look at K5 and look at how they are actually winning to take this fight. Bash, again, finding another knockup, executing a killing spree onto Canal this time. And the bot lane are in disarray for the side of Venomcrest.
Bashing his way through the enemy red siders. I think they're looking for more. Red buff is going to be spawning. Olinsky just has to give this.
Oh, the Bash special is coming in. And they will get away from the chains, but here comes the call of the Force God. There are gonna be some damage to me like Panda, but this will allow Emperor to farm. So this time around, Emperor isn't having a good time either. But on the good side, Emperor still hasn't died in 7 minutes.
NCS down, already got himself the cloak. Not going the best for him, but Bash, like you said before, may even be looking for more. Kai'Sa and Touch are still quite healthy, but it's going to be really hard to do this. Teleport is not up and available for anyone on Venomcrest to help.
Yeah, but the wave is pretty good. And honestly, Touch doesn't have anything. They need to get that stun. Trying to find both. Kanada's pretty low, but so is Touch, but the target focus isn't there. Floops will have to fall back. That dive will fall apart. And it's just like deja vu. We've seen that when Bash was on Nico. This time around, Bash is on Vel'Koz, but he will give it to Nautilus. Pretty well done to him. You don't want Malishka to get that injection of gold.
600 gold shutdown given over to touch. Not the member you wanted to have it on, but K5 getting a little bit too greedy with their play. He just needs to farm up. He needs to get to the point at this level 6 mark, because Olonsky, while all of this happened to the bot side, able to hit that level 5 mark so close towards that level 6, and it's straight onto Rift Herald.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing though, is like Belveth has been behind, that you're still level 4, you're a level behind, you're big time behind in XP and farm, and then you're not gonna be in that level 6 form where you can get your Herald, you can actually start to get that evolution from the ultimate and make things go for you. Well, it's not the case for Bash yet. So Bash, back to farming. It will be for the 2nd time in a row, first Herald to Venomcrest.
Well done on getting the first Herald. I would actually love to see this get placed towards the top side yet again. Try and get your Rumble to the situation he was before, because he is, of course, with a 30 CS lead. But Emperor is the tank. He's happy with this happening. While they are going to be thinking about where to put it, we do see K5 starting up this dragon. It should just be completely 3. Olonsky has no way to contest this, as Bash is going to be able to pick this up and then hopefully get to level 6 soon, because there we go. Level 6 has finally been achieved. Now he's going to be so much stronger in these fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you're like a mini Viego of sense. And speaking of mini fights, here comes a skirmish. It's 3-on-3. Dresline is going to connect onto the Rom, and they will even find the ultimate on the Bash. Bash is still waiting. Will find the knock-up. Will find the execute. And now the lockdown is coming in, and they will give Bash in response. Noluchan is pretty low. Cobbin is out of the fight. They will try to find a stun. Here comes Cobbin, but the damage isn't enough. Break Collar and Ignite will get one back, but it is still Venomcrest to find a triple kill for Canal before going down. Using
Everything onto the jungler of Bash means that he just isn't able to move at all, because we talked about how Venomcrest have so much one-person CC and it was all used onto him, so it's great on him having so many kills, but in a big team fight, if you're not able to move, you won't be able to do too much. And one thing I think he could have maybe done is, instead of having these speed boots on the attack speed boots, he could have actually gone for the Merc Treads to try and make it where the CC didn't really pack as much of a punch.
I mean, absolutely. I feel like the Endless Banquet just didn't get him the healing. He didn't even get the reset. He was just stunned the entire duration of the fight. And that is something that will not look so good. So is the top side again, but this time Bash trying to find a freebie. Canal is stuck there in a hard place. And there comes another shutdown. Well, you gave 600 gold to touch. You're going to take it back.
Really well played coming out from Bash into this mid lane, able to pick up another kill for him, and he should be actually pretty close to his first item, as Kai'Sa getting takeout there. It's going to be huge as we look towards the bot side. We can see the wave getting pushed in, should be able to pick up a few tower plates on top of that, but Olonsky is nearby, so may be able to stop him.
Oh, Rejan is going to connect. Here comes the goal of the Force Goddess. 2 fights on 2 opposite sides of the map. Let's see what happens here. Floops is trying to find the damage. They will dissuade Olonsky from taking that fight, and on the top side, they will stop Panda. They will also take the flash, but the second dredge line is good. Touch, 1 auto attack away from being stunned, but the Blade Caller not in place to take this fight, and just like that, 2 fights. A lot of summoners expanded on both sides, but not a single casualty.
Yeah, we need to talk about the summoners actually getting expended, as Venomcrest may actually be looking for a dive. I have to hold that point.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. The casualty statistic might actually be swerved, but no. DP will be gotten. 2 plates for Olonsky, and that will be it. Me like Panda using the equalizer just to make a push onto the wave. And honestly, like in that situation, I think it's pretty okay. 2 minutes until Dragon. You're not going to really have a fight. Emperor is in no position to stop you. He just DP top side. And, you know, we're talking about Me Like Panda getting that lead back, and he is.
Me Like Panda in a bit of danger. Bash could try and go for this. Cobbin is nearby
Cobbin's
as well.
here,
It's a 2v1. Remember, no equalizer on him.
Yeah, no equalizer, no flash, but here's the TP. Stride will be broken. Me Like Panda is overheating. Bash is gonna get that kill pretty quick, and the Banquet is here. And Shuri might be on Madlishka. Bash doesn't have any dashes, so he will have to retreat. But it's another kill, and I feel like they're not able to keep up with the Bash on the side. But holy, Wade Touch is gonna find another one. He's not missing these hooks, but he will be rooted himself. Ignite will not be enough. Low level is Floops and Duchan. Here comes the TP. While the Force God is not present, this time it's Cobbin, and that's a lot of damage. Noduchan is just stolen from underneath the nose. Wolski there will find the bite and will find a pitter, and they will find a Floops. Now with the total of 5 kills, huge in these skirmishes.
Venomcrest having a devastating loss in the bot lane. One auto attack on either Canal or Touch, and both would have actually been taken out. But because of this, Canal has got himself to 5 kills, has 150 gold shutdown, and with a reset should be able to complete the boots as well. Just showing just how strong he really is. And remember, last time, Venomcrest, all they had was Me Like Panda getting the lead, but now he even has a lead in the top side, and Canal has a lead as well. So it's going to be a difficult game for K5. Bash has to do a lot soon, otherwise it's just going to get worse and worse.
Honestly, like, I used to think that most Bel'Veth players went play the Rune King first item, but that's not the case. We're actually seeing a Stride Breaker first from Bash, and I would like you to explain that to me. I think I have an idea of why that is, but I just want to make sure.
Well, it's mostly to try and slow down the enemy team. Make sure that when he is in his form where he's able to, hit the ground and be able to take so much damage, just allows him to make sure that nobody can escape. And of course, with his team, when you have stuff like the Braum that is able to stun people up, just helps them just a little bit more. As Dragon will be spawned in the next 5 seconds, looks like both teams do want to contest Me Like Panda walking down. But remember, Emperor, he doesn't have the TP to help.
Yeah, he doesn't have the ultimate either. No Force God there. Still trying to find something. Another Dredge line connecting. Cygnus Nautilus cannot miss, and neither can Me Like Panda. They're gonna find one. Bash is up next. At least we'll try to find a response. He will on Canal, wasting some time. But the shutdown will still be had. It will be to the opposing jungler, and they will also have that Cloud Drake to fight for.
A5 should have never taken that fight, especially when Emperor isn't able to roam down, so it was going to be a 4 versus 5, and taking a 5v5 was difficult enough for them. And because of this, they are able to pick up the Dragon, able to push out this mid lane, and take a look at Ornn top side, able to push out one single way for that. So just a bit of a miscalculation coming out from K5.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best of fights, but honestly, as he said, like, Emperor had no TP. Emperor had no way to get back into that fight. Not even a call for the Force God, really. But I'm looking at that game, and I'm seeing something that is quite different. That game, Common was pretty far behind. This game is actually still in contention.
I 100% agree with you there. There is only a 200 gold lead over on the side of K5. However, you have to remember, Venomcrest, their leads are on quite good carries. As they have started up the Rift Herald, Venomcrest are going to be fighting for it. Dredge line doesn't land.
That's the first. When have we ever seen a Dredge line not land? Oh, here we go.
Sometimes you don't really want to hit them, because there's sometimes Touch has gone in where it just feels like he shouldn't be able to do it. But K5, because giving this up and allowing the block to push out the bot side, able to push out mid lane, trying to pick up as much CS as possible. Because like we said, K5 are stronger the later this game goes, especially with the Ornn items coming through. And as well with Bash, when he gets those 3 or 4 items, he's going to be so tanky and so hard to try and kill in these team fights.
Just waiting for the Force to be established. Of course, the fire isn't high enough in these early levels. So just waiting for them to set the temperature right. And it looks like Venomcrest trying to slither their way into
in the
tier
mid.
1, but here comes the TP. It's gonna be a big fight. That's gonna be a Dredge line. That's gonna be an ultimate, but doesn't really matter. Touch should be dead either way. And here comes the Maelstrom. Here comes the Banquet. And Mudleshka's next. That's another stun. Cobbin has a lot of damage. It's gonna be a self-tomb. But it will not be for long, because here comes Panda, here comes Canal, the big people in the team fight. The Blade Caller is gonna find one. Bash is trying to look for an angle, but look at Panda burning them alive to a crisp. And Bash again, not wondering where he will go, and the Maelstrom will not be enough. Oh no, look at Malishka surviving on single-digit health.
Do not give Me Like Panda Rumble. It's all you have to do when these fights are close. But the ultimate coming out from Rumble was just able to just dominate that whole fight. And on top of that, Emperor with the TP, if nobody saw it, the fight started. Emperor TP'd in, instantly got taken out, and had nothing to do with that fight. Just showing how Venomcrest are just so quick at turning around and understanding who to go for. Because remember, he TP'd with only half HP, as he is going to be able to save his top tower, but he wasn't able to survive, well, save much more.
I mean, yeah, he wasn't able to save the fight. They weren't able to turn it. And this is the breaking point where we have a Mountain Soul, and I feel like the Mountain Soul with an Ornn, with a Bel'Veth, especially against a team that just wants to one-shot you, is probably the best thing that you can get if you're K5. But the problem is, I feel like they're at the point where they're not going to win the fights unless they do something right.
And one thing that I don't think we've really talked too much about is the side lane pressure that Venomcrest does have with me like Panda. Because of course having the ignite of the teleport as, wait a second, Emperor is going to get engaged on. Nizuki does a ult.
Just the good old Emperor special. Just subjugated. Oh, that's the great pillar by Wolski. Gonna expend the flash. And here comes the TP. A lot of summoners used on the side of K5.
Bash is up here as well. They could look for a fight, but I'd rather disengage from the side of K5. They just need to try and farm up just a little bit
wrong,
more.
Carbon. Yeah, okay.
Modliska didn't have flash, so wasn't able to try and look for sight there. But take a look, K5 just being the weaker team, have to give up this top tower. While on the opposite side, K5 are trying to get something, as both the Xayah and the Braum warding up just a little bit for next Dragon and try to push out this mid lane.
Now, Lishka's there is gonna receive that wave. But I'm looking at that fight, at that coalition on the top side. And I'm still thinking, you know, Venomcrest still actually wants to give it a go, and they will take that tier 2 down. Or they should. Next wave is coming in. Herald will charge as well simultaneously. And here comes the Axe Slash. Touch will not get the Dredge Line, but they'll get another 600 gold injection, and the gold lead is starting to grow. They will finally disengage, but they got what they came here for.
If they're able to stop a few resets, there is an opportunity to try and find a dragon before the enemy team comes here. Is able to stop the Nautilus to help them out just a little bit.
Oh, but Common, here comes the Equalizer. They cannot get away unless they walk into the flame, and Emperor is gonna tank some of that fire. But it will be a kill.
30 seconds left on the Drake does mean that I don't think they can ever contest this. So Venomcrest should be able to pick up their second Drake for free on the back of this, as it's just going bad to worse, as Keno has been able to complete his 2 items, almost getting to his third as well, having 8 kills to his name, and it's really gone from me like Panda carrying this game to now that Keno can just take over.
Yeah, well, the takeover. It might be. As you know, the blueprint for success has been established for the side of Venomcrest. Give me like Panda Rumble. Get the Rumble to be ahead. Team fight, and you win. And it looks like another team fight is going to come in.
Just give him Rumble. You don't need to even win at this point. You can just leave him to farm in the top lane. He'll be able to do it himself. But K5 are looking to try and contest this. Cobbin is here and available now. They're going to have to try and pick someone off.
Oh, they're going for me like Panda. Do you know where to go? But the problem is, will they be quick enough? Here comes the Protobelt. They're trying to find Panda, but the Braum didn't land the stun. They will land the root, but will it be enough? They'll get the Maelstrom. They'll get the shutdown, but Bash isn't too much harm. Will dash only to the later death by mere seconds, as Venomcrest caught them in the alcove gaming moment, baby. As they're getting everything done. It's an ace, but just waiting for Emperor 3 for Modliska. Make it a quad for Modliska and that team fight.
Everybody just stacking up perfectly for Modliska to be able to hit all of his abilities on top of that, meaning Venomcrest are able to pick up bot tower, able to pick up this dragon as well, as K5 just used everything to get rid of me like Panda. Didn't have the ultimate, meaning that it was possible because they just expended so much. They just didn't have any damage left to kill the rest of Venomcrest.
And that's the thing. If you're picking the Braum, you need to land these stuns pretty quick. They didn't get the stun. They didn't even get the passive proc on. And they just put themselves in the worst way possible. And you gotta give it to me like Panda. Setting them up in the alcove, making sure that he's able to survive long enough for the rest of the team to carry over. And well, this time, it's not me like Panda that's carrying the fight, but the rest of Venomcrest has surely showed up.
And now the gold lead has got to the 5k point. Venomcrest with a significant lead now. As we take a look at people's golds, we could just see top lane, 2k over to me like Panda, side that we've expected from last game. But most importantly, take a look at this AD carry, having a 4-1 point, well, probably like 2k gold lead at this point. Just showing how strong he truly is and just showing how much he can really do. Because if they take out me like Panda and use everything, it just allows Canal to really open up, as Venomcrest are trying to push out this mid lane, are trying to just get their vision set up for this Baron. That is going to be the next major objective to fight for.
Yeah, and this isn't your traditional poke Kai'Sa. This is actually Kai'Sa with an Avoid, trying to spam these Qs, weaving in the auto attacks in the team fight. And speaking of weaving things in, they're actually going to weave a Baron attempt. We are spotted by K5, but K5 is a little bit late.
TP is up on Cobbin, so they can 5v5 this, but they barely have any vision.
Oh, the team fight is gonna come in. They're actually able to land an ultimate, but here comes the damage and the equalizer. The Force God is just a distraction, and they will turn back after getting Emperor out of the fight.
If they're able to try slow this down a little bit, it may allow Cobbin to try and go for this out. But a teleport coming out does mean that will be stopped as Venomcrest are still looking for this Baron.
Yeah, but let's go slowing things down. The Baron isn't going down quick enough. So the health pools off Canal and Touch might be under suspect. But it doesn't matter if Bash is dead. Bash is the one that has a smite. Panda is trying to find something. Bash is going to go in, find a Maelstrom, trying to find these kills, but not tanky enough. Canal is going to find that one. And here comes another line of dredge, another line of despair. As they will go down. They'll get the Baron. And nothing is going right for K5 here.
A double kill going over to Venomcrest and the Baron as well, as this game just went from bad to worse, as Ornn hasn't even got close to getting people his Ornn items, as it is only 23 minutes into the game and a 6k gold lead for Venomcrest.
And the gold lead is only gonna go bigger and bigger. They're at that point where they will be able to engage on you and they will be able to kill you. They didn't get the dragons, they didn't get the soul, you didn't stack your early game advantage in that bot side quick enough. And now look at Canal, look at Modliska, look at Owonski. They're all problems almost as big as me like Panda.
Modliska hasn't even died once in this game, just showing how reliable he can truly be, especially with how fast he has been going up these ranks and playing for so many just dominant teams. As K5, they do need to try and defend this Baron. It's looking like the side of Venomcrest are trying to go for a 4-1, allow this Rumble to stay around this bot side, and remember, like they did last game, allow just these minions to do their work, because they don't have the best dive comp or the best comp to try and go for side, because they are looking for Cobbin.
Yeah, Venomcrest do have a good dive comp, but they're actually just gonna go for the tower. They have the Baron buff, and they had that ability to siege, and well, just like that, you know, it just took them like 3 seconds. And the tower is over. But speaking of things that might take longer, here comes the big fight. Bash is trying to look for me like Panda. He will get it, but at what cost? As everybody's standing in the flames of the equalizer. It will be a second kill for K5, but now they have to retreat. Now that the cavalry has come back, and what an attempt there from Modliska, getting everyone down. It's a triple. It will not be a quad, as Modliska's gonna get that one, but it could have been an ace. Cobbin to escape, but it's a 4-4-2 for the side of Venomcrest.
Because Cobbin is alive, I don't think they can try and go for an end, but 2 inhibitors should be on the card for Venomcrest, unless Cobbin can do some miracle.
I mean, Cobbin is just gonna waste time. I feel like he might just give 1 inhibitor and then try to slow down the wave on the other side. The shift is there on Cobbin, so the ability of actually slowing things down will be respected as they will retreat.
Cobbin not having, Modliska not having the Frozen Tomb does mean they can't look for that fight. But it just feels like K5, they're able to find these good engages, make sure that me like Panda isn't able to do anything. But then Bash, once he goes in, it just feels like he isn't able to get the healing he needs because he had a lead. But now it just doesn't feel like he just has the tankiness to really take these fights. And that's the biggest issue we thought he would have, especially against this a single CC coming out from Venomcrest. But they are just able to constantly CC him out of really dealing any damage.
And that's the scary part about K5's comp, is that you have to walk in, and that means you're in range of Modliska just like slowing you, rooting you, ulting you, touch getting a dredge line. The list goes on and on. Honestly, if you're K5, you don't want to fight at melee, but you have Bash who has to go melee, and he has the majority of the gold in your team.
Take a look at K5. Them trying to go for a flank does mean that their mid lane tower is completely taken out. Second inhibitor as well, and maybe even their whole base.
Yeah, the Nexus, it might be under threat. Liska's gonna throw 1 claw, but it will actually not connect. They will not go onto it. And Cobbin is wasting time, but they're still trying to hold the base. Venomcrest is eking for a fight. They know that it might be an ender. It will take longer, but another ring to rule them all from Modliska. A 3-man route as they get into that fight. They might be under the Nexus turrets, but it's no threat whatsoever as Canal is going to get another pair. And here comes the Thralls. Here comes the Snakes. Bash might have had the best attempt of the entire game, but he will be taken down by Canal again. The base is almost over. The Thrall is going to take Flooms back to the fountain, and the Nexus will only take 3 more minutes to go down, but it will be Venomcrest to make it 2-0 in our first best of 5.
Venomcrest coming out with a dominant victory, unlike game 1. It just feels like the confidence is building for this team. Not only 1-0, now 2-0, and only 1 win away from getting themselves over and up to the next bracket win. K5, please ban Rumble. If there's a god out there, Ban that
Uh,
Rumble. It's just unfair. But to be honest, it wasn't just a Rumble. It's just the plays K5 made. They're really good in this early game. Just this mid to late, it just feels like they aren't able to push their leads enough.
yeah, I mean, you're talking about everything that happened, and it was good. Like, I'm gonna give them that. I feel like it was pretty good from K5. But me like Panda early, and then suddenly you have a comp that is very easy to execute. The Sunder press R, Rumble presses R, you subjugate the Ornn,
Yeah.
and everybody dies within like 1 or 2 auto attacks of each other.
Yeah, difficult one to say the least. I felt like Bash on this champion is really strong. It just didn't feel like the Battle for F really worked for the team comp. So I think K5 needs to do a little bit of rejigging around. But remember, they still can come back. It will need to be a reverse sweep. But Volt, if there's one team to do it, K5 are the one to do it.
Yeah, K5 has been doing a very valiant fight, but again, valiant fights are not victories. We might see a victory here if Venomcrest manages to get their third, or would it be the sweep? Well, we'll just have to wait for the next game, so we'll take a break, get ready, fix your posture, guys. By the way, my posture has been atrocious.
There we go.
Let's fix your postures, get your drinks, chill out, because the epilogue of this game might be upon us next.
unsafe. Buried down, still half alive. It's got me crawling in my skin, but no one's coming out to hold me close. Pouring out the gasoline. Yeah, I've been making friends with all these girls, and I got nothing left to lose. Fight to the future. Choked it down, left a bad taste on my tongue, but my appetite's been growing now. I can see you crawling in your skin, but no one's coming out to hold you close. I'm pouring out the gasoline, so say hello to all my ghosts. I'm sick and exhausted, but I'm back with a match, yeah, I'm a boss kid. Nothing to lose. I'm sinking my teeth in, and I won't let you go when I'm having fun till set fire to the fuse. Alone, I'm moving like a shadow. You're walking in my dead zone. Breathing slow, ooh, love the hunt, love the high. Watching life fade from your eyes, ooh, and this is not a warning, this is not a test. I'm tuning on you and I'm coming for the rest. And I'm about to ignite, just try to play it cool. Echoes in my head.
Foi em uma quarta-feira, saí pra te procurar. Andei a cidade inteira, mas cadê você, cadê você? A cidade é grande, as pessoas muitas, e eu por aí, sem te encontrar. Vou pedir a Oxalá, Oxalá quem guia, Oxalá quem te mandou. Tanta volta pra nenhuma resposta, tanta volta pra nenhuma resposta, tanta volta pra nenhuma resposta. Nenhuma resposta, mais um punhado de folha sagrada pra me curar, pra me afastar de todo mal. Oxalá quem guia, eba babá, Oxalá quem te mandou. Para raio, peste branca, aça peixe, abre caminho, paturi. Para raio, para afastar o mal.
Welcome back, everybody, as Venomcrest make their way up to 2-0. It is on Karolinerna to climb that hill and make the reverse sweep to... Zath, you okay, bro?
I feel like no.
Everyone, ban Rumble. Just ban Rumble K5. I love casting both of these games. I want a best of 5. Before best of 5 to happen, ban Rumble. This champion is just not okay. Brackish, help me. Do you want to cast for me?
So... no, you're doing great, bud. But okay, let's dig into why that is. What, is it just a case of Empress Champion pool? Is he too much of a weak sider that K5 aren't really able to get to grips with this Rumble?
I mean, I don't know. That's like, is he?
It's hard. Sorry,
I mean,
I'm just so emotional about this.
I feel like it's just weak, not even weak side. Like this is just a weak top lane. It's been exploited over and over, and it didn't even matter. You know, first it was the cheese, and we said, you know, maybe it was the cheese. It's just a cascading effect of being 2 levels behind. But he had a lane to play, but he didn't play it. I'm sorry, he did not play that top of the time.
I mean, the crowning moment. There was that one fight. The crowning moment. We were talking about this in the off game. There was a team fight in mid lane where Rumble with Ignite roamed to the fight, and Ornn was catching the wave top, and K5 fought it.
Okay, so basically, what we're trying to tell you guys is bit of a top diff in this season. In this meta so far, because when we're talking about top lane, you think of big tanky top lanes in the last like 13.13, 13.14, 13.15 though. Everybody's kind of moving over to that Rumble. Maybe something like a Camille, Gwen, something for a little bit more damage, a little bit more engage, which is so important. Really for me like Panda, because it really suits his playstyle of playing these aggressive laners, while Emperor, it just kind of feels like the way he likes to play is going out of meta, and that's why it feels like he isn't doing his best, because the meta doesn't really support his playstyle.
We've talked about top lane a lot, so Vexel, I want to come to you about elsewhere on the map. Bash had a great start on the Belvesis game, but it felt like the later the game went, his effectiveness tapered off extremely hard.
I mean, it wasn't really just down to Bash, because as you said, Bash had an excellent start. But then you look at the team comps in general. Like, if you look at Bash in context, you have Lissandra that's going to stun you. You have an Equalizer that's going to jump down straight to your head. Touch is just hooking anything that resembles the color red at this point. So you're not going to have a good time, especially when you walk into a team that has a full team comp that is equipped to dealing with you at close range. Even the Kai'Sa went attack speed. She didn't go poke. She know that you want to kill the first person that walks in. And unfortunately, for the most part, it was Bash because the rest of the team was like 2 miles behind.
Can I say that it is so refreshing for people to remember that AD Kai'Sa is still a thing? That, you know, you don't have to go full AP on this. Like, there's probably some great middle ground as well. You got like Nash's hybrid, get all 3 evolves. I don't know if the circumstances we would see that on that, Zath.
Well, that is actually a possibility, but remember the nerfs that came to Kai'Sa kind of means that W Evolve isn't as powerful as before, because you can grab it up, takes a lot longer to come off cooldown, doesn't do as much damage. That's why that ED Kai'Sa has been coming out a lot more, because these champions still want their dive capability, especially with something like a Lissandra that wants to go in and Nautilus, give you that huge burst damage in the late game. So that's the reason you still get it picked up. But remember, there's still potential for different AD carries to be coming out, and that's what I really want to see K5 doing, because they have had some interesting, I guess, ideas so far, but I still think they need something else to really get K5 a win here.
We'll find out what that something is when we get on into draft in just a second. I'll give it across to you guys, but I do want to leave you with one final question. 3 games, 3 125 invades?
I can see it. I think this is very possible for them to do again. So remember, the early game is where the side of K5 are able to make their big lead. So Brackish, we'll have to see if they're able to do it as well.
Well, draft, I believe, is getting right on into it. So we'll hand it across to you. Take it away.
Well, take it away we shall, and praise the Lord. It's over. The tyranny is no more.
Guys, Emperor could play top lane, finally. I had a whole skit ready of walking out the room if Rumble was here. Apparently it's not needed. K5 have listened to our praises, and we should actually have a game on our hand. Well, Venomcrest have basically kept the status quo, understanding what the most important bans are, taking away the Thresh from No Clue or No the Clue, seeming like it's just too powerful on him. Same with this Maokai. It seems like Venomcrest every single time in the past like 20 games, I believe, have just banned Maokai. They do not like the champion. They do not want to play it or play against it.
Yeah, but you know what is actually now open? The Drumble is banned first. It's
Tell us.
either a Lee Sin or a Rel.
Rel is going to be an interesting option for Venomcrest because remember it can get flexed towards the support or the jungler. We do know that Venomcrest do actually like to pick this up, so we're going to have to see if K5 do decide to ban it away or the Lee Sin. Because remember, Olonsky was a big deal on this Lee Sin, being able to find so many engages, so many reasons to try and get ahead. As Tristana is also a great first pick, so that's something the Venomcrest could try and go for to get that early game aggression in the mid lane.
Yeah, Poppy not banned this time. Tristana not banned this time. It's just the Poppy. And we haven't seen that for a while. I feel like Poppy is slightly situational, which could signal that Venomcrest have a comp in mind. But any comp that have Venomcrest in it probably starts with a Kai'Sa.
Yeah, Kai'Sa being basically first picked the whole entire time during this split for Venomcrest. Absolutely loving this pick. Love to see it come up with a Nautilus as well. As K5 do have the 2 bans as well, Tristana is still open and available. Would love to see that coming out. Maybe another AD carry for them, but the AD carry pool hasn't been pinched just yet. So there are plenty of opportunities for that as K5 are taking quite a bit of time. Remember, they need to win this to get through as they will actually be able to pick up the Tristana.
Yeah, Tristana will be picked. And now, this is the point that I feel you should pick jungle if you're a K5 player. You just pick jungle, you keep your cards hidden. Because something that we haven't really talked about is how, like, for the last 2 games, they've actually been picking supports last. And when you're having R5, you're supposed to put that in the top side in the mid lane. Give one of these 2 players a big lead. But Cobbin and Bash are pretty confident in what they play, which leads to the side of Venomcrest not really having to deal with the R5 disadvantages. Ornn is going to be picked, but hold on. Maybe the Poppy is banned for a reason. Sejuani is also a pretty good alternative.
I really want to see Viego Lissandra in the mid lane so everybody can truly understand how powerful that duo is. As sadly, Venomcrest don't have the same idea as me. They are going to be picking up Sejuani, a very powerful tank in the jungler. Alonsky going to be playing hard and aggressive in this early game, trying to get his team a lead. As well, having 1 pick left, I wouldn't actually mind them picking their support here. Could be a good option. Maybe even picking up the LeBlanc that's actually got the whole entire way through, or even the Jace. But instead, going to be picking up the Renekton, as I feel like Emperor in this top lane on this Ornn is going to feel a lot more comfortable into this Renekton.
Feels humane. That's the least that I can say. Just feels humane, you know. It's a melee top laner. We probably played the Renekton matchup 100 times, but the rest of it has to come up soon.
Yeah, well, coming up soon is going to be a Kindred locked in from the side of K5. Something that we did see Bash play against Monster Rugby game, in which they did lose to literally just half a week ago, as it wasn't able to really get itself rolling as it wanted to, but not a bad pickup at all. It does mean that the great engage coming out for Venomcrest can get stopped with the Lambed Respite and kind of go for those re-engages, but it's all about priority in these lanes. And now Kindred has this AD carry of Tristana in the mid lane. They will have that early aggression, but they still don't have AP. So K5 need to have some AP in the bot lane to make this team comp work.
Yeah, so I'm interested in seeing what they're gonna pick here, because Kindred is really good into these kind of team comps that actually want you to engage, and that's probably what Sejuani and Renekton want. They want to go all in. You have the Kai'Sa that can also follow up with that Void Assault. They're expecting the Draven, which is something that I didn't expect to happen here.
Yeah, coming up with the Draven. Actually thinking that maybe Tristana as well could get put into the AD carry position. Something we haven't seen too much of. So there is still an opportunity for an AP carry in the mid lane from the side of K5. But to be honest, not to be expected. As Venomcrest on their last ban could ban away another AD carry if they do want to. Varus is also a great option that can be picked. Has been paired up quite a bit with Tristana recently to be able to try and get the poke damage off in the late game. And then try and allow Tristana to burst them out. But we're going to just have to see if they agree with me.
Yeah, well, looks like Xayah will be the ban. So now, if you're K5, you have support, and you have mid. I'd rather see support this time picked first, because then you actually get to see what Meliska is gonna play. So, like, fingers crossed. There are a fair few options in support, especially against that kind of all-in comp. You might actually want to play passive, but no, responding in tandem. One of the sisters for the side of Venomcrest, the other for the side of K5.
Tristana ADC, something that we haven't been seeing going around a lot, but Emperor making sure that his AD carry is able to pick that up. So Floop's going to be on a very aggressive champion, as Nautilus will be locked in again for Venomcrest, which does mean K5, a Blitzcrank could be a decent option for them. Won't be able to like push in too many people, but if they're able to get Kaiser in this early game, it could give K5 the lead they need. But I'm loving this K5 draft a lot more than the last ones.
Honestly, I do agree. Like, they have all the options that they want. You have aggressive engage play. Both Call of the Forge God and the Frozen Tomb are excellent tools to get a pick. Tristana is going to be a menace in the early game if left unchecked, especially if you can dodge these dredge lines. But I'm looking at the side of Venomcrest and I'm thinking, yeah, you probably want stability. And since Meliska isn't having as comfortable as here, maybe resorting back to an old flavor of the month in Syndra can be something that they want to do. But it's actually going to be Seraphine in that spot.
So with this Seraphine mid lane, this could mean that Nautilus goes support and then we have Kaiser's the AD carry. Or the other option, which I think is more likely, is you just have Seraphine Seraphine down bot with Nautilus mid lane, then Kaiser ADC. There's just so many different options this can go. But now that you've picked Seraphine, this makes Blitzcrank an even stronger pick for your team to do. But as well, you could pick something that's a little bit more safer. But no, completely agree with me. We do actually see the Blitzcrank coming out, and it's going to be such an interesting mid lane. Early game from K5.
Yeah, actually, I've just been informed that Meliska did play Seraphine mid once in the regular season. So it is probably going to go back to Meliska, as we're seeing here in the overlay below. And, against the Sandra, I feel like it's a pretty good pick. You're pretty safe. You can just farm with your notes, and you give extra damage in range, and that's probably all you want. I'm looking at the side of Venomcrest, and I'm thinking that, hey, 90% of the damage is actually going to come out of the Kai'Sa.
90% of the damage will be coming out of the Kai'Sa. The only benefit the Seraphine does, except for the healing and shielding, is going to be the encore of the ultimate, because remember Lambda Respite, it's only a small circle. So if everybody does clump up in there with a really good encore at the end, there's a possibility to completely wipe them. But K5 does have many engaged tools, many ways to pick off the enemy team, and if they want to beat Venomcrest, they're gonna have to try and find these picks, especially with something like the Kindred in the jungle that wants to grab her stacks, wants to have constant priority. And with how these fights are going, except for top side, Kindred is going to have that.
Yeah, speaking of grabs, we haven't talked about the Blitzcrank that much. And the rocket grab is actually one, if not the best tool in the game to just win a team fight. You hook an important target, you hook a Seraphine, you hook a Kai'Sa, it's pretty doomed for Venomcrest, especially the Seraphine, because Kai'Sa at least have that supercharge where she can move around, she'll be invisible. But Seraphine does not have an inkling of any mobility abilities. Only the flash, and it's on a 5-minute cooldown.
And it's going to be difficult to really be able to find a hook in this bot lane, especially because I guess the Nautilus, he can just completely tank that up, find a re-engage on Tristana. So if Blitzcrank isn't able to find these early hooks, it's going to be difficult for him, especially in this late game.
Well, late game will not matter. It is do or die for Karolinerna, and they will need to find something. It looks like their idea is a 5-man bot play, but oh, look at Venomcrest. They have sent it out, but not in the right spot. They're playing it very passive. They're turtling in their base, and that's giving the side of K5 some questions. Will they continue, or will they fall back? It looks like pings to the top side, but they're actually continuing this to the tri-bush. Oh, it's going to be explosive.
Well, K5, I don't really like their 1v1. Their level 1 abilities. So they are actually going to opt out. They're trying to find a pick before the 5 and starts realizing they can't. Go for a reset and will be just trying to go for this top side. Because remember, K5, they still do have the on artifacts. They will be strong in this late game. However, Venomcrest, I still think, have the stronger comps. They do need to get a few things done this early game. And when you want to get something done, or when you have a Blitzcrank, that is the place to look. Because we haven't talked about how he pairs with some of these laners. Because in this mid lane of Corbin, being able to have the Frozen Tomb, stun some important carries up by just point clicking them, can have Blitzcrank as well, just hook them straight into your team. And that's a way around level 6 mark that they can start pushing their lead.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait around level 6. Of course, Blitzcrank does have the hook from level 1. So the ability to inflict some chaos in that bot lane will be present from day one. And they need something to happen here for the side of K5. 0-2 down. One game away from being knocked down to the lower bracket, and the first hook isn't really the best incentive, but look at that line of dredge. It'll be perfect. 2 Roos, and Floops will actually take the proc of Plasma just for chucking a bomb there with no auto attacks on it.
Yeah, Floop's kind of been in this mid-range, wanting to auto-attack but not, and because of their indecisiveness, Keno is able to get a good trade on top of him, and this is really bad from the side of K5, because they need to have a winning early game bot lane. This all comes down to if Blitzcrank is hitting these hooks. If they're too low, especially like Floop's is now, you're not really going to be able to take these fights.
Yeah, but hey, like, I'm just looking at the top side and I'm like, wait, Emperor's playing the game? What is going on? I mean, like, that's the good thing for the side of K5, because I'm looking at bot lane. It's not a great start, especially when the Nautilus is establishing the lead, establishing the pace. And speaking of pace being established, Bash and Wolski will meet each other. Frozen here, proccing that aftershock, but Cobbin does have the ability to follow up. Wolski will take a brunt of the damage there in that exchange. They will actually end up losing. The good thing is, bot lane have priority, and Touch is actually free to move with the Wolski there into that blue side jungle.
So it doesn't even matter that Bash is able to win that fight. Like you said before, blue buff is just going to be taken away. He only has 1 camp to far, maybe 2 if he's lucky. But great play coming out for Venomcrest, saving their jungler.
And they were waiting for him to actually go for the second camp into the Grom. He will not. Waiting for the rest of the team to fall back. And that's a much safer play there from K5. They know that there's a lot at stake here. Any mistake will swing the game. You might as well just let him have the small lead. And speaking of small leads, we have one in the top side. And Emperor is actually having a bit of an HP advantage over me like Panda.
Yeah, but take a look at the mana. He was trying to poke him out with that, but because that's almost out, Me Like Panda is going to be perfectly fine in this top side. As in these early levels, Me Like Panda doesn't have the damage to go for the 1v1, and Emperor, of course, being a tank, doesn't himself. So it's more of a handshake lane compared to the mid lane as well, which is going to be a handshake lane until the level 6 mark. As the early game is just going to be quite quiet, as both teams will just be trying to farm up to the level 6 marks, where they will be getting their ultimates and start looking for more. The only champion who wants to do stuff before level 6 would be most likely the bot side, and especially this Blitzcrank.
I mean, we're seeing that, but Wolski actually might try to do something here. Evading the red buff, and oh wait, he's spotted now. Now's the call of actually going back. Touch will be out of it. There comes the hook, there comes the pull-up. But Canal, Wolski, and Touch, all 3 of them are there. The flash is perfect. Even the flail, looking for the permafrost of... Well, what egg? Canal just misses the Voice Seeker. It's chaos here in the bot side. Bash is still here, still have the dash. Still trying to find an angle. The slow is not an appropriate target. The appropriate target has been rocket grabbed, and it's first blood going to Bash yet again.
So many misplays coming out from both teams, but on the back of that, K5 are able to pick up a kill, does go over towards their Kindred. I want to see if they have a stack on them to see how close they are going to be to 4 stacks, as they will be trying to push out this bot side. Nodu-chan does have mana for another hook, so we're going to have to see if he's able to get his top side. Emperor, quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, it's quite a bit risky there for Renekton. But the wave has been pushed, and that will actually allow a clean reset for the entirety of K5. And as he said, like, it wasn't the cleanest of fights, honestly. A lot of missed abilities. But at the end of the day, the outcome is K5 getting a lead.
But remember, we saw this before in the second game. K5 was able to go for a tower dive, were able to get a small lead in the bot side, but it's all about what they do next. Are they able to finally push their lead to a bigger, significant source? Because remember, Bash, he had it. He was able to get himself a double kill on the bot lane early on, but he is on a bear champion to do this, as he's been farming up quite well, having the 27 CS, 28 now, and getting pretty close to first item.
Yeah, and of course, being ranged and not melee is a big boon for Bash in this situation. Bash is actually allowed to exist outside of being straight into the faces of Olmsky and Me Like Panda, who, if somebody walks into melee range, it will be quite problematic for them.
I completely agree with you there. And on top of that, Emperor being quite comfortable in the lane as Modulus Scar, bit of danger.
Oh, here comes the punch, but the problem is it's more members there. Encore, and Duchan will be no more. That's the kill traded back, and that's the trade there from Cobbin.
I think that's just more than a trade. Drake is up and available and should be going over to the side of Venomcrest. Just a little bit overconfident coming out from Nudu Chan, not knowing that Alonsky is nearby, so we'll have to give this up. And even on the back of this, Bash getting pushed out of his jungle just yet again. Mistakes from his laners are really making this game hard for him to play.
Yeah, especially that yet again, as we said, Bash is gonna be the primary win condition for his own team so far. He's the only one that's ahead. Tristana's having a pretty even game. Emperor surviving. So again, late game, they should be favored. But I'm so worried about what's gonna happen in that mid game.
Mid game will be really difficult, as Me Like Panda's consistently been getting himself these skull crabs in the top side. This is going to be his second one. An extra 150 gold in his pocket for both combined is something that you do not scoff at, as he will lose once he has in the top side. But yeah, Venomcrest in quite a good position for now.
Oh, Bash. Yeah, and not even just that, by the way. Like the 150 gold are excellent, but Bash has been denied any marks. He got the bad RNG on the first scuttle. And then there you go. Me Like Panda's just been farming these scuttles, making sure that Bash has no stacks. And you know, we're talking about range. Kindred, without these first 4 marks, she doesn't have a lot of range to play with.
Yeah, for everybody at home, 4 marks on Kindred means she's a champion. 8 marks on Kindred, she is a god. That's probably the best way to describe that. As in top lane, Emperor is quite content with how it's going. So he's just doing more trading. Remember, Dragon has been up and available for the last 3 minutes. It looks like all teams haven't been really interested in it. However, Bash is going to be coming down, trying to push out this wave with his team, and may even look for a fight.
Yeah. It's something that they might look for here, but oh, the dredge line didn't connect. Now Touch is in harm's way. Exhaust, cleanse damage back and forth, but Bash, the great Bash, will come in. Floops is gonna find that kill, and once again, K5 are focusing on that bot lane, and they are at least getting something out of it, but Venomcrest are actually trading objectives.
This looks exactly like last game, as Venomcrest are able to pick up themselves the Rift Herald, and most likely bring it placed to the top again. They're trying to make sure that Me Like Panda has the lead like he had in game 1 and in game 2, as the side of K5 will be trying to stack these drakes. Because it feels like they're good at this point of the game. It's just 10 minutes down the line. I'm really concerned about what they're going to be able to do, because it feels like they get first 2 drakes and then crumble after the third.
Well, this time around, they've gotten the first drake, and they will be looking to add upon it. Bash still, I believe, without a mark, and Floops now still without a dredge line landing on him, but here comes the Wolski, here comes the assault. It shouldn't be enough damage. Canal is trying to find a trade. The trade will come in. There comes the Kindred. Kindred is trying to find something. The mark is in the correct target. Glacial Prison will come in, and unfortunately, Cobbin's ice isn't enough. We'll have to fall back.
You see top lane.
Yep.
Me Like Panda got 1v1'd by Emperor. I feel like that was a little bit of a solo kill to remember, as Venomcrest on the bot side are able just to completely just push out the lead just so hard, as Olonsky still has the Rift Herald, actually decides not to use it, as Cobbin in the bot lane. Sees touch. I don't think he saw him until the Hectic Flash came out, and then Cobbin just being so far away, not 9 teams with him, weren't able to go after him.
Oh, look at this. Bash, marks with Kindred. He's gonna get it. And he's on 1 mark in 10 minutes.
I think that's why we actually got a pause. They were like, wait, Kindred got a mark? Guys, where did we go wrong? But no, Venomcrest in a very good position, only having themselves around about a 0.8k gold lead as we get ourselves back into the game. As yeah, to be honest, I'm expecting this Rift Herald still to get placed towards the top side, as the side of K5 are going to be trying to push for this bot lane. Remember, they all had to reset on the side of Venomcrest and may even look for this Kai'Sa when they try and go for this tower.
Yeah, no void assault for the Kai'Sa. So she will have to walk in, but again, there is a slight lead with Wolski, and now with Bash starting that camp, they will be spotted on that side of the map. Kobby has to all themselves. They have to find that fight, but the problem is Lamb's Respite will not be in range, and now it's actually Bash under threat on the other side. It will be Canal getting another 2. Despite everything, Canal has 3 kills, and Touch this time, landing the hooks will be to their favor. Nodu-chan is 1 hit away from being procced the plasma, 1 hit away from being frozen. It will be that kill, no line, and it will be no trade, as the prison will be perfect. Fisher down by Wolski. Aftershock to tank that turret, and Canal will get 4 kills in total.
Venomcrest have just opened this game wide open. Rift held in the bot lane as well. Can now 5 kills to his name. Already has 1 item complete on top of that. Now a full tower to his name. And Venomcrest are looking so solid.
Honestly, like, I don't know what even happened wrong there for K5. I mean, I can tell was Kobe in that position, but here comes the dominance now. Bash have to back off. Flash, slice, dice, a lot of damage. Remember, no Lamb's Respite on that Bash, so he has to back off. It's pretty threatening. They've used a lot of summoners, and they're still dissuading them. Cobbin now in a good position, but he will not act on it. They will fall back. They get the lives, but oh, wait, Emperor is pretty tanky though, and he will flash out, but that's another summoner that you just get out there for free just for landing that hook.
Yeah, landing that hook does get him out to safety. As we kind of touched on how Touch kept trying to look for these engages. Perma going for it, and it seems to be working out this game.
Oh, he even gets the root. Oh, Cobbin is dead. He does have the ult. No Duchan is there, but here comes the Void Assault. Here comes the last auto attack. Dominating, and will probably add one more to it. Bash is not in range to save. And here comes another kill, this time courtesy of Touch. And the game has exploded. It's 10-3 to the favor of Venomcrest.
Has another hook.
Oh, they even have the ultimate. They're going for it. The cleanse is a little bit too late. Not enough damage on the Canal. And Owonski as well will join the party, will join the streak, and will join the Bounty Club.
Touch just coming online in this second game. It feels like the players who were doing so much for the team, like me, like Panda, he's chilling. He's quite happy in this top lane against Emperor, just going even. This team is going so far ahead, and it feels like Touch, who had just such difficulties in the last 2 games trying to find these engages, really has come online, allowing Kennel to find such a lead.
Honestly, you have got to give it to Owonski in that game. Like, shutting down the Kindred, not allowing the Kindred to have as many marks as she wants, and then finding all these angles in the bot lane to respond and counter gang. You know, for my money, I've seen Bash actually equally as Owonski in that bot lane, but then you look at the score, you look at everything that happened, Owonski just got the better end of most of these trades.
Definitely has got the better end of most of these trades. As 20 seconds till the next dragon is up, no expectation for K5s to ever dare to try and contest this. 4k gold lead for Venomcrest, especially because Kennel has 1.5 items to his name. It's going to be so powerful in this next team fight. Seems like K5 actually do want to contest this, as Honor will be roaming down. Remember, Venomcrest, they do have better positioning than them. They need to try and get Modliska before this fight starts.
Oh, wait, Bash is down to half health just like that. The Evans Shroud and the snipe from the godlike Canal. That's another kill. That's the jungler out of commission. No Lamb's Respite using. Bash is not having a good game.
I don't know what's going on with K5 this game. It just doesn't feel like they're thinking anymore. It feels like their mental has just gone out the window, as that's now 3 times the Bash could have used the Lamb's Respite, as even mid lane's getting picked off.
Oh no, Doshan is gonna go down. Here comes the damage, but it's not enough. Floops will finally find their charge. But the problem is, you got the Receipt, and Receipt is a legend in the name of Canal. Kaisa all the way through, and Kaisa has been dominating. The Inferno will blaze, but at the end of the day, I'm looking at the Rift, and I'm wondering, how can you stop this Kaisa?
I don't think there's much you can do, except for throwing everything in the kitchen sink at her. But the longer they try and put onto the Kai'Sa, it just allows me, like Panda, to get more of a lead. As he is pushing out this top side, Floop's in a bit of danger, does have the rocket, or sorry, the rocket jump to get himself out to safety, so he is going to be fine, as the next Rift held most likely going to take by Venomcrest yet again.
I mean, Herald is spawning, and I'm just looking at item completions. As he said, Kaisa was an item and a half. With that fight now, 2 items completed. An entire item ahead of Floops. An entire item ahead of anyone in this lobby. And this game is not looking good for K5. They're starting to bleed gold. And I feel like if we just look at the gold situation, because there's probably nobody's going to be contesting that. Just look at the gold difference between Canal and Floops.
It's 15 minutes into the game, and there is a 2k gold lead. Guys, if you want to know when you're fed, if you have a 2k gold lead of 15 minutes, you are definitely fed, to say the least. As another hook, Touch just can't miss.
Yeah, it's not enough though, because Duchan does have the flash, but that's a flash expended. And you know, we're actually talking in Alpha game, like in game 2, about how Touch is actually engaging too much. But hey, this time Touch has the backup. You got Owonski, you got me like Panda, and you even got Canal there with that immense amount of damage that isn't allowing K5 to play the game at this point if you land the hook.
Landing the hook You're just so far ahead that it doesn't even matter. And because of this, they're able just to barge up this top lane, able to get the Rift Tower, to get another tower to their name, as K5 is going to be looking for something. Ornhorn.
Yeah, Ornhorn is good. Canal is down to half health, but Emperor is stranded here for a little bit. Cobbin will find the Ring of Frost. The TP is coming in. You're still in a 45, but you are actually losing. The shutdown will be onto the Kindred again. No Lamb's Respite, because that was used in the last dive. Canal is just hailing them with the auto attack, and the girl within the void will bring up a void for the side of K5.
It just felt like that was their last attempt at trying to save their bases. Floops and Nodu-chan come out with slivers of HP. So me like Panda should be able to pick up Nodu-chan as another tower down. Don't actually want to pick up this inhibitor. I mean, it does give more gold over to K5. They allow this, as Nodu-chan is just seconds away from dying.
Just cue the heroic chase music.
He's having the time. If he gets out.
He doesn't get out though. I don't believe. Oh, there's a very thin line and he walks, but he gets smoked. Oh.
It was a decent attempt. He thought that people were up on the top side, so he didn't want to go that way. But this does mean this timer is going to be 18 seconds. Does allow the side of Venomcrest to be able to push out this mid lane. And to be honest, with how they've been going, they can just storm down any tower they feel like.
Yeah, but the thing is, the one silver lining that you have as a Karolina fan, player, or enjoyer, the fact that you got objective bounties and you might as well try to use them. You can tell they're trying to push the side lanes, trying to get those bounties. Sana was top, and at the bottom side, there should be some people. But I'm looking at Bash. It's a 1 and 5 on the Kindred. I just want to know how many marks that the Kindred have at this point in the game. Remember, it's 18 minutes. They're still trying to look for it. Here comes the other Ornhorn, but this time around, there is a spell shield, and the shield will mean that Canal's going to find another one. Cobbin and Emperor are next. You might be tanky, but not tanky enough for this Kaisa, as they will be pushed back again.
Well, do you remember you said K5 were lucky?
Yeah.
K5 are lucky there's a lower bracket with how this game is going.
I mean, honestly, if Luz is lucky he has a flash, because look at this, it's an onslaught still continuing from Venomcrest. You know, we were speaking about the tail of the snake. Well, the head of the snake has showed up. And it looks like the snake is slithering for the side of KV5. You can tell the hunger is there. They're trying to find their prey. The inhibitor is next. This might be the one chance that they have, but the hook doesn't land.
Venomcrest have to try and, well, they have to mess up to give K5 any opportunity of getting back into this game, as they have themselves over a 10k gold lead at this point, just really showing how much further ahead they are. Also, I'm not expecting too much to be happening pretty soon. K5, they just need to huddle up as much as possible. Try and get as much gold as you can into your Tristana, into your Kindred, but it still is so difficult, as Bash is trying to do that as he's taking away the camps away from Olonsky, who is actually coming here.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yes,
no,
they
no.
are.
Here comes the chase. The smite is there. Bash does have the mobility to actually get out. But Olonsky, they're playing the waiting game. Bash is gonna flash, but he's spotted, and that's no problem for Venomcrest, because the sun is gonna come in, slice and dice, and me like Panda feels like you like Kindred, you like dead, and Bash is dead after all.
I love that. I actually love that coming out from Bash. Because he tried to go for the outplay of pretending to flash one way while going the other. And you just saw Olonsky just deadpan face, just like, I know where you are. Just walks into the bush, smiles at him, and it's like, yeah, man.
Yeah, I called your bluff.
Sorry.
He called this bluff.
As a bound will be started up.
Well, speaking of calling bluffs, Venomcrest, they know that that's the call, and they folded out of this table, looking to fight the Inferno. So at least an objective bounty at Dragon, but with the amount of siege, the amount of range that you have with that Sejuani, and then the engage that you have, they need to get this Dragon now or it will be over. Dredgeline will be interrupted, and the Dragon is just too healthy for the side of K5 to get something back. So they tried to cross map, but it wasn't enough. Canal doesn't have mana, and he has the flash out of the rocket grab. That's a perfect reaction there, as they're gonna get that kill. They will continue to aggress, but Canal's out of mana. Canal doesn't even have a supercharge. Ring of Frost, here comes everything. They will get the shutdown, but they will get nothing afterwards, because all the kills are going towards the side of Venomcrest. Low HP on Owolski, but he will flash and turn back. But again, Bash survives, but Bash is the sole survivor from this plow.
Only member alive has 25 seconds on anyone else except for On. does mean that probably the bot lane tower is going to be going, leaving all inhibitors exposed. And do you know what happens when you have 3 inhibitors taken out? It's me like Panda is going to be looking for the mid one as well.
I mean, they had the freedom to do so. Honestly, Bash doesn't even have a leg to stand on in this matchup. Neither does the entire team. They've been brought back further and further behind. But hey, silver lining, 1k shutdown. What does that do then?
1k shot down on towards this Kindred does allow him to have a little bit more gold into his pockets, but to be honest, not much. Hasn't even completed his second item, trying to get close to that Trinity Force.
Ooh.
Do we have to mention it? two stacks onto the Kindred, an absolute horror show, especially for 21 minutes into the game. Not going the way that K5 wanted us. It just feels like this whole game, it was close to working out, but every play they're trying gets them just further and further behind.
Yeah, you gotta give it to Venomcrest just for matching the tempo of K5, knowing what their game plan is of the opposition, and then adjusting accordingly. Sometimes you play your game, sometimes it's just much more beneficial to play against your opponent's game, and that's what they did here.
Playing up against them. So we're going to have to see what Venomcrest are going to do here, because I'm expecting them to be pushing out this top side, trying to get this inhibitor, have Renekton on the other side to push it as well, and they could even go for a 4 versus 5. They're just this far ahead.
Yeah, they are. They don't even worry about it. And you can tell K5 are respecting the fact that a Fissure can come out any second. They're slowing things down. Here comes the Orange Horn. Looks like K5 wants to find that fight. Canal is actually pretty low. You've got to give it to them. They've got the shutdown a second time. This time, though, it's a 700 shutdown. But the problem is, here comes the Panda. Here comes the pain. And here comes the Snake. The final nail in the coffin, as they will win that fight. It's only Flops left. It looks like it will be a clean 3-0 to kick off playoffs.
Venomcrest haven't lost a single game, not just in the normal split, but here as well, taking out K5 in a 3-0 fashion.
Cut above has the Snakes been throughout the entire time. The Baron will wear off. It's just another kill to pad the KD on Modliska. And as he said, still undefeated throughout the summer are Venomcrest as they hit straight into the semifinals.
Volt, I think we're experiencing history here with how Venomcrest have been doing. They won 3-0 here, and if they're able to go 3-0 the whole entire way through, I only believe that Fnatic in the LEC in 2015 were able to do it. We did see that there was a good opportunity for K5 to get in. But Venomcrest really well played, going 3-0.
Yeah, honestly, just this one was a blood show. Like, the first two were actually pretty competitive, but I feel like the mental game played into it. You know, maybe it's just a simulation. Maybe everything that happened there is actually, you know, like, oh my god, Emperor was playing bad to let the rest of the team have some of the spotlight. This time, Emperor played well, and the entire game collapsed on the one side.
Yeah, felt like it. But guess what, Volt? Weird, lovely casters, but another lovely British man to join us is Brackish Brit, as 3 games has really made English a bit hard for me these days.
Hey guys, so let's have a look-see at the series as a whole, should we say, because producer and all-around wonderful guy Carvis made a brilliant point to me during that game, which is, this is Venomcrest's first BOX that we've seen this split. And it wasn't as dominant as some of the games some of the games, especially game 1, wasn't as dominant as we expected to see. But what we did see is the exponential curve of Venomcrest just putting pedal to the metal as the series got on. As they got more comfortable with their opponents, they got more and more ballsy, more and more aggressive, right up to that game 3, where they frankly decimated Karolinerna.
Well, I got to agree with you there. Decimation at the end is true, but Venomcrest in the first 2 games looked very beatable, if I'm honest. Because in the nicest way, K5, it just hasn't felt like they've really been able to understand where they want to play, as there was a lot of major mistakes coming out from that team, and Venomcrest were, of course, able to pick them apart, but not the way that other people can. Because Light Side, remember, being second in the division, if I see those 2 going up in a best of 5, I genuinely can't tell you who'd win that.
Well, who knows? We may well find that out very, very soon. If we could potentially have a look at the bracket and see how that affects things going forwards. With Venomcrest winning, of course, as you rightly said, Vuxel, that'll put them up towards the winners bracket. That will put them into the winners finals going on the 19th of August. Karolinerna going to drop into the losers bracket, going up against Lions Creed on Sunday. And of course, the light side. We were talking about them just then. They, tomorrow, facing up against Munster Rugby Gaming in the other upper bracket game, loser of which will face Blue Whites. Winner will go up against Venomcrest. So we might get that light side Venomcrest game sooner rather than later.
I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, like, especially if I'm K5, as Data said, like, you had a lot of great things going on, but I just feel they weren't able to play their cards right because they had the cards, they just weren't able to mount up with them. But Venomcrest is looking beatable. They've looked shaky at times, but not to that extent. Like in this BO5, they've definitely proved that they can bleed, but they haven't been taken out yet, haven't been KO'd. And honestly, I feel like a big part of that has to be like how strong the entire unit is. Even when the bot lane wasn't having a good time, even when Liska was having to take a back seat, me like Panda on the Rumble just stepped up in these 2 games and filled the shoes.
Could we talk about touch? Sorry,
not?
I do want to say it. But
Yeah, of course.
Venomcrest, great team. Of course, 18-0, won here. Touch in the first 2 games, in the simplest way a support could say it, did a Hillisang. Kind of ran it down a bit. So I think that's the biggest way that we've seen Venomcrest kind of crack and fold. It's through this support. So it's hard to say, but like when Touch was on this game in the 3rd game, it looked amazing when his team were ahead.
This is
He
the
was doing
thing,
the
though.
same
Game
thing.
1 and 2. Exactly. He was still Hillisang. He was just Hillisang when the coin lands heads.
I don't know. That man gives me a heart attack if I was a Venomcrest fan, because he has such highs but such lows. And if Venomcrest want to win every game, you got to make sure he's having his highs.
Absolutely do. And that will do it for us. Any final thoughts before we move on and obviously head it off towards the end of the stream? Vuxel, you first.
I mean, for me, I'm very happy about this. One, we've proved that Venomcrest actually have a very strong output in a BO5. They aren't really limited to just playing off of bot or top in that aspect. So that's something that is going to be very important, as Athos said, for 13-15, where the Rumble is going to show up sometimes. Maybe we'll see a Camille. I'm hoping for an Aatrox, but like fingers crossed for that. Probably never happening. So, I'm pretty happy about that. But on the other side,
Ban Rumble.
yeah, I'm worried about Lions Creed against K5 because K5 has shown that they can mental boom in a BO5.
Yeah, it felt like a mental boom in that last game. Well, it's hard to say, to be honest, what's going to happen in the next game. To be honest, if I'm against the side of Venomcrest, just ban the Rumble, try and exploit their support by making sure that his engages he thinks are correct but aren't correct. This is done through vision, because both teams, one thing I've learned about them, they don't care about summoners, to be honest. Even if they're flash or not flash, they never know. So if you're able to really understand summoner usage, it's a big way that you could probably be a lot of teams in this division.
And that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much, gents, for your wonderful coverage of the games. I have been Brackish Brit, joined by Vuxel and Zapdos. We had the Mighty Carvus on production. Tune back in tomorrow. We have that next game of playoffs. Lundqvist Lightside going up against Munster Rugby Gaming. Should be cast by Basic and EK. Same time, same place, 6 o'clock CEST. Do not miss it, and we'll see you next time.